I'm the only one in our family who inherited the ability to be reborn. When I was still babbling as a toddler, my mother would cover the walls with lottery numbers written in charcoal and make me memorize them. If I misread or forgot a number, she'd embroider it onto my arm with an embroidery needle to make sure I remembered. By the time I turned 6, I had memorized every lottery draw from my entire childhood. For the first time ever, Dad took me to the county town and fulfilled my wish to have ice cream, and that very day, Dad excitedly led me to a desolate cliff edge. "Luna, you've had it good for so long. It's time you paid the family back." The next second, Dad pushed me off the steep cliff. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself reborn as a 3-year-old. My parents were looking at me with beaming faces. "Luna, what are the winning lottery numbers for today's draw?" In our family line, a reincarnated individual emerges every 10 generations. I happen to be the 10th generation in my family line, so my parents stopped farming and working altogether, focusing entirely on having children. They had 7 children in total, and it wasn't until I was born that our family's century-old genealogy book finally changed color. That's why, when I was still babbling as a toddler, my mother would cover the earthen walls with lottery numbers written in charred black charcoal, teaching me to read and memorize them. But as a young child, I could never get it right. I'd either mix up the numbers or confuse the dates. At first, Mother never laid a hand on me, but after I turned 2, my mother, who was desperately hoping for better days, finally reached her breaking point and decided to punish me. In the beginning, she'd only whip the backs of my calves with willow branches. Though the switches were slender and supple, they stung terribly against my skin. As the stack of lottery tickets I had to memorize grew, so did the frequency of my mistakes. Convinced I wasn't taking it seriously, Mom started beating me with a thumb-thick stick and burning me with red-hot iron tongs. Back then I didn't understand, only knowing how to beg for mercy in a tearful, childish voice. "Mom, I'm sorry, please don't hit me anymore," and that would only make my mother angrier. She glared at me with a furious, menacing expression. "I told you to memorize the lottery numbers, not to spout nonsense. Don't you know talking ruins your concentration? With you being this stupid, when will I ever have a decent life?" Then my mother would take out an embroidery needle and, as if mending clothes, stitch the numbers I'd misread onto my arm. The pain was unbearable, but I didn't dare cry or make a fuss. It wasn't until my father came home in the evening that I finally burst into loud sobs. Then he would lift me up and sit me on his lap. "Luna, don't blame your mother. You were just too disobedient. If you had listened to her and memorized the lottery numbers like you were told, she wouldn't have had to stitch them into your arm with her embroidery needle. She only did it for your own good, to help you remember. As you can see, our family is dirt poor. The sooner you memorize those lottery numbers, the sooner we can turn our lives around." I could feel my father's heart pounding with anticipation. As a child, I couldn't understand how memorizing lottery tickets would magically solve all our family's problems. Aside from hitting me and forcing me to memorize lottery numbers, my mother actually treated me quite well. Since my parents didn't farm the land, our family survived on potatoes year-round. Yet I was the only one in our household who got to eat an egg every day. My mother insisted that proper nutrition would sharpen my memory and help me memorize lottery numbers faster. Beyond that, even my 3 older brothers had chores. I was the only one exempt from all work. Even though Mom would hit me sometimes, I still believed she was the most wonderful mother in the world. Then one day, my grandmother came to visit. After Grandma left, Mom pulled Dad into the bedroom. She said Grandma told her I needed a brain replacement, that it was the only way I could become smart. My arm was still throbbing and itching from the numbers Mom had just tattooed on it. I didn't quite catch how exactly this brain replacement process works, but this was something I was willing to do. I felt so guilty for not being able to memorize the lottery numbers and give Mom and Dad a better life. That evening, Dad said he was taking me somewhere special, and I eagerly followed along. I was so keen to keep him happy that I even started excitedly reciting lottery numbers on the way, but I never expected he'd lead me to a graveyard. Before I could process what was happening, he brought me right up to a coffin. A grubby old man stood by the coffin. My father pulled 500 yuan from his trouser pocket and handed it over. "That brain-swapping method you mentioned really works," the old man chuckled, swaying his head. "Of course. The fellow in this coffin was the top scorer in the National College entrance exams back in his day. If his family weren't all living in the county town, who'd dare dig up a grave in the dead of night? All right, have your daughter lie down in there. Just 3 days with this top-scoring student, and I guarantee she'll come back with a sharp mind." I was young at the time, but I still understood what the old man meant. I turned to run, but my dad grabbed me firmly by the back of my neck. "Luna, What are you running from? I stared at my beloved father with creeping horror. After freezing for 2 seconds, I began thrashing violently, for I had clearly seen the features of the person lying in the coffin. It was less a human form and more a collection of stinking human bones. But father paid no heed to my tearful pleas. He grabbed me and violently threw me into the coffin. I screamed and cried, trying to climb out. With a sharp shove to my head, father slammed my body back into the coffin. Then, with chilling indifference, the coffin lid sealed away the last sliver of moonlight from the horizon. I spent 3 days inside that coffin. During those 3 days, I breathed in the stench of decay, cycling between fits of weeping and raging, too. But after each outburst, a bitter ache would always swell in my chest. I've come to realize that my parents don't seem to love me as much as I thought. This reminded me of the rumors circulating in our village. People in the village say our family has 7 children, but I only have 3 older brothers. I've never laid eyes on my 3 older sisters. Villagers whispered that father had turned my sisters into flowerpot maidens and sold them off. I could never grasp what these flowerpot maidens were supposed to be. How could human beings possibly transform into flowers? But I knew this couldn't be anything good. To my horror, I realized that if I hadn't inherited the family's rebirth ability, I might have been turned into one of those flower girls and sold off by father. Though I had no idea what this rebirth ability actually was, but thankfully, father finally let me out. The moment I saw the moonlight again, my whole body trembled. The old man fixed me with a lecherous stare. Luna, will you be able to remember the numbers properly from now on? I looked at the old man's terrifying, grotesque smile and nodded hurriedly. I can. The old man walked over to my father, looking satisfied. This girl's fate is too formidable. We may need to perform another ritual. Take her home for now and observe. If it doesn't work, come see me again. My body jolted with another violent shudder. I stared in horror at the human bones lying in the coffin. I swore to myself I would never come back to this place again. I came down with a high fever as soon as I got home. In my feverish slumber, I had many dreams. I dreamed of my 3 sisters whom I had never met. They smiled and invited me to join them to play. After a moment's hesitation, I declined. Even though mom and dad were harsh with me, I still didn't want to leave them. I lay at home for 3 days. When I opened my eyes again, mom was lying beside me looking utterly exhausted. Seeing I was awake, she reached out and touched my forehead. The warmth from their palms seeped through my skin, spreading through my entire being. Back then I thought, my mother must still love me. She only hit me because she wanted a better life so badly. My father returned to his old self, buying me chocolates that only city kids could afford. Though I never liked them, they were too bitter, yet I still threw myself into my father's arms, beaming with joy. It was from that moment I resolved to memorize lottery numbers thoroughly. I never wanted to see my parents transform into those strange versions of themselves again, and I certainly had no intention of being sent back to that old man for his rituals. Strangely enough, ever since I committed myself to memorizing those lottery numbers, my mind seems to have improved. I used to struggle to memorize even 1 set of lottery numbers a day, but now I can memorize 3 sets daily. Whenever I exceed my tasks, my father gently pats my head and praises me for doing a great job. My mother hasn't hit me since then, and items like fire tongs and embroidery needles have all been put away. I was so blissfully happy back then. Time flew by, and as I gradually grew up, I committed all the lottery numbers from before I turned 6 firmly to memory. The day before my 6th birthday, Dad gently ruffled my hair. Luna, tomorrow's your birthday. What would you like for your present? My eyes lit up as I looked at him. Ice cream, Dad. I want ice cream. Dad gave a warm, gentle smile and nodded. All right. Early the next morning, Dad took me to town. There was not only an amusement park but also all kinds of snack shops. This brand new world filled me with wonder. Dad also took me to a breakfast spot and ordered me sweet soy milk and delicious meat buns. I ate until my mouth was glistening with oil. After we finished breakfast, Dad was just about to take me away. A man walked into the small diner. He wore a brown jacket and had a stern face, made even more menacing by the long, jagged scar that twisted across his cheek. I was so frightened that I immediately ducked behind my father. Once we were outside the diner, I asked my father nervously, Dad, that man who just came in is really scary, Dad said impatiently. He's a murderer. If you keep making a fuss, I'll have him kill you, chop you into mince, and make dumplings out of you. I trembled violently with fear and didn't dare say another word, but in a child's world, even the most terrifying emotions can completely vanish when faced with delicious food. I was no exception. The moment Dad pressed the cheapest ice cream from the shop into my hand, all thoughts of the murderer vanished from my mind. I never imagined that the ice cream I'd been fantasizing about could be this delicious. Little did I know, the ice cream in my hand would be the last taste I'd ever experience in my life. Once we finished our ice cream, Dad was getting ready to take me home, but then I spotted the murderer I'd encountered that morning. He was sitting by the entrance next to the ice cream shop. feeding a stray cat with steamed buns and a faint smile on his lips. Watching the smile playing on the man's lips, I furrowed my brow in confusion. 3. Didn't Dad say that man was a murderer? Then why did he look so gentle while feeding the cat? My own father would never hesitate to kick a stray cat if he saw one on the street. Before I could figure it out, Dad's impatient voice called from nearby, "Luna, what are you standing there for? Get over here now." I was so frightened that my body jolted violently, and I quickly hurried after my father on the way home. I kept wanting to ask about that murderer, but my father completely ignored me, just hurrying along the path, until my father led me to the edge of a steep cliff. My body instinctively grabbed the hem of my father's clothes as I stared down the seemingly endless cliff. "Dad, why have we stopped?" My father crouched down in front of me. "Luna, have I been good to you?" I didn't know why Dad would ask that, but I still nodded solemnly. "Dad treats me very well." A broad smile spread across Dad's lips. "Then would Luna like to repay Dad?" "Yes, Dad." The moment I spoke, I felt a sudden weightlessness as my body was lifted into the air. My father had scooped me up, but before I could even let out a scream, my father threw me off the cliff. As I fell, tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. I never imagined my own father would try to kill me. Then my back slammed hard against the rocks. A choked sob escaped my lips. The searing pain shooting through my body made me clutch desperately at the roadside weeds. I had no idea where I found such strength, but I knew one thing for certain: I didn't want to die. I want to live. I need to ask my father, why would he do this to me? Until I was about to climb back to the cliff's edge, my father, who had already left, suddenly reappeared. He grinned with a particularly vicious and cruel expression. "You little brat, you're tougher than I thought." Before I could react, my father delivered a powerful kick to my head. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in a room that felt both foreign and familiar. The roof beam was broken in half, just like in my previous life, but the room was now filled with electrical appliances, even a television. For a few seconds, I was completely disoriented. My parents, now looking years younger, finally cried out in excitement, "Luna, you're the reincarnated Luna, aren't you?" I stared at the face before me, both familiar and foreign. All the emotions I'd been holding back finally erupted at that moment. I want to confront my father. Why did you treat me so cruelly in my past life? I need to ask my mother, for did she know all along that my father would throw me off the cliff? But my crying was cut short almost as soon as it began, because my new father was staring at me with wild excitement. She must be the reincarnated Luna. The original Luna was an idiot who couldn't even cry properly. My new mother chimed in eagerly. "I think so too. Wait here while I check the ancient book our ancestors left behind." The new mother came running back moments later. "There's writing now. The ancient text has revealed something. It says lottery tickets." The new father leaped up in astonishment. "So in my past life, I had Luna memorize lottery numbers." Of course, if it were me, I'd definitely have Luna memorize lottery numbers too. Watching the two chatting excitedly, my heart ached with a sharp, piercing pain, like a blizzard of snowflakes swirling densely in winter. The two deep in conversation reminded me exactly of that day in my past life when my parents were discussing taking me to the graveyard. Perhaps my expression was too sorrowful, for my new mother noticed something was off about me. She slapped my new father, then leaned down to wipe the tear stains from my cheeks. "Luna, don't overthink it. Mom and Dad are just overjoyed." My new father snapped out of his daze. Yes, Luna, Dad just never expected the ancestors' words to be true." Through the mist, I carefully sculpted the expressions on their faces, but I couldn't tell if it was just my imagination. Their smiles seemed forced, yet I still shook my head timidly. Perhaps my timid compliance made my new parents let their guard down. My new father looked at me with excitement. "Luna, hurry up and give us the lottery numbers now. The drawing is today, and I can make it to the county before dark to watch the results. If I win, I'll bring back some delicious chocolate for you." Hearing my new father's words, my heart sank again. This father who was trying to coax me seemed just like the one from my past life. In the end, I gave the lottery numbers to my new father and mother that very day. They took my brothers to the county town. Meanwhile, I was left tied to the bed at home with a rough rope around my neck. During their absence, I had a lot of time to think. I thought to myself, if my new parents would just love me, I'd be more than willing to be their daughter, because I didn't want to become a child without parents. But I never expected that when they returned the next day, my new mother would storm through the door cursing and immediately try to hit me. She was holding a willow switch. "Luna, did you lie to us? Yesterday's winning numbers were completely wrong." I watched as this mother figure gradually merged with the one from my past life. The moment I opened my mouth, I burst into tears. "Mom, I don't know. I really don't know." My new mother paid no attention to my crying. She raised a willow switch and started whipping my body relentlessly. I struggled to break free, but a thick rope was tied around my neck. No matter how I struggled, The new mother's stick always found its mark on my body with unerring accuracy. I don't know how long the commotion lasted, but the new father, who had been silently smoking outside, finally reached his breaking point and strode over. He snatched the stick right out of the new mother's hand. "All right, that's enough. What if you end up killing her?" Hearing my new dad's voice, all the emotions I'd been holding back suddenly found an anchor. I threw myself into my new dad's arms and burst into loud sobs. My new dad patted my back. There, Luna, don't cry. Don't be upset with your mom. She's just really worried. As you can see, we're barely scraping by. If we don't hit the lottery soon, we won't even be able to put food on the table." Nestled in my new father's embrace, I listened to the steady thrum of his heartbeat before finally murmuring timidly, "Dad, I honestly don't know what went wrong. This is exactly how you taught me to recite it." My new parents exchanged a knowing glance. "Luna, would you tell Daddy how I used to make you memorize lottery numbers?" I agreed to my new father's request. That very night, I told my new father everything about my past life. I even mentioned how many bowls of rice I ate every single day. It wasn't until the moon rose above the treetops that my new father, seeing he couldn't get anything out of me, finally let me go to sleep. But the moment they stepped out of my room, my tightly shut eyes flew open again. I started crying. Soft, muffled sobs escaped me. But I didn't cry for long. Next door, my new mother's angry voice erupted. "Do you think that brat Luna could be lying?" My new father replied in a dry, raspy voice. "Unlikely. She died at 6 in her past life. A child that young can't possibly fabricate lies." New mother retorted. "Then why is the lottery number wrong? Could the past life and this one be different?" New dad, "It's not impossible. Tomorrow morning, we'll make something delicious to sweet-talk Luna into writing down all the lottery numbers for us. That worthless girl doesn't deserve good food. Once she's finished writing the lottery numbers tomorrow, you go sell Luna off. We only kept her around all these years because she's simple-minded. She's been nothing but a freeloader. If you ask me, that family heirloom of yours might be fake. Regardless, we should use Luna to get some money first." I listened to the hushed conversation from next door. Tears welled up even more intensely in my eyes. So it turns out that both my parents in this life and my parents in my past life have always disliked me. After crying all night, I woke up the next morning with my eyes swollen like two big light bulbs. My new mother looked at me with deep concern. "What happened? Your eyes are so terribly swollen." I looked at her worried expression and remained silent for a long moment before murmuring timidly, I'm fine." Seeing this, my new father quickly stepped forward and pulled me into his arms. "Luna must have just been reborn and isn't used to things yet. Go quickly and get a boiled egg for her to soothe her eyes." Hearing my new father's gentle voice, my heart ached with sorrow again. My father is so kind right now. Yet why is he just as terrible as the father from my past life? One wanted to kill me, the other wanted to sell me. After finishing the fermented rice egg dish my new mother made, I applied a compress to my eyes. My new father looked at me tentatively. "Luna, would you be willing to help me write down those lottery numbers you memorized in your past life?" I stared at my new father in silence for a long time before finally nodding with trembling uncertainty. "Okay." My hands were too small to hold a pen properly, so I'd call out the lottery numbers for Dad to write down. Even so, it took me 3 whole days to memorize them, until every lottery number was firmly committed to paper. My new father gently ruffled my hair. "Luna, as a reward, how about Dad takes you to town tomorrow?" In the end, I couldn't hold back my tears. "Dad, why don't you like me? If I've done something wrong, please tell me. I'll change. I don't want to be a child without a mom and dad." My new dad's face instantly changed dramatically, and he rushed over in a panic to pick me up. "Nonsense. If I didn't love you, why would I take you to the county town? Your own brothers have never even been there." I rested my head on my father's shoulder. Tears fell from my eyes like a steady curtain of rain. In the end, I never said what I was thinking. My brothers may not need to go to the county town, but you'd never dream of selling them off either, just like in my previous life. My new father took me to the county town. I looked at the familiar streets, the familiar playground, but the sense of novelty and excitement I'd felt before was gone. All I knew was that one more step would send me tumbling into a bottomless abyss once again. I gripped my new father's hand tightly and pointed to the ice cream shop where my previous father used to buy me treats. "Dad, I'd like an ice cream. We can skip the amusement park. Just like in my past life." My new father showed impatience but still humored me by buying a cheap ice cream. I deftly tore open the wrapper, yet somehow the sweet flavor I remembered from my previous life was missing. What I've tasted in this life is bitterness, a bitterness more profound than the darkest chocolate. Dad first took me to a lottery shop and bought a ticket, then he led me into a narrow alley. The new father approached a tightly shut gate. Before long, a menacing, foul-smelling homeless man opened the door. I was so frightened that I hid behind my father, and it was precisely that action. I saw the scene inside the room behind the homeless man. On the dilapidated floor sat over 20 flower pots, but instead of flowers, they held human beings. A dozen more boys and girls with leg disabilities were crawling on the ground. Each of them held a bowl in their hands. Some were kowtowing, others weeping. This suddenly reminded me of those disabled children I encountered on the pedestrian overpass. A chill ran down my spine instantly. So, is this the flowerpot girl the villagers have been talking about? By then, the new father and the vagrant were already deep in conversation. This time it's my own daughter. You've got to give me 500 more, no matter what. My girl is sharp as a tack. She'll definitely help you rake in a good amount of money. The homeless man looked at me as if I were a piece of merchandise. Fine, but you better step up the supply lately. Got a big order from out of province. New dad gave a nod. Deal. With that, new dad shoved me toward the homeless man. My heart instantly tightened, forcing down the trembling in my chest. I smiled and said, Dad, do you want me to play at this uncle's house? But right now, I want you to take me to the lottery store. I just remembered. I finally figured out why the lottery ticket was wrong. I think I mixed up the dates. As soon as I finished speaking, my new dad's face instantly changed. He glanced at the homeless man and, in a panic, handed back the 500 yuan he was holding. Bro, I'll bring her to you in a couple of days. I've got something urgent to deal with right now. With that, my new dad picked me up and hurriedly rushed us away from the place. My body grew increasingly rigid in my new father's arms. If he hadn't sold me, my new father could have lived a comfortable life. My new father carried me to the lottery shop, where he spent 100 yuan on fresh tickets. As I looked at my new father, wave after wave of pain washed through my chest. Once we stepped out of the lottery shop, my new dad had slipped back into his kind father persona. Luna, did you mix up the dates for those lottery numbers you wrote down for me? I bowed my head in thought for a moment, pointing at a small diner nearby. I said with a playful smile, I'm not telling you yet, Dad. I'm going for some soy milk from that place first. My new father's face clearly showed impatience, but he held back his anger and patted my head. All right. When we got to the small restaurant, I ordered the same dishes as in my previous life, yet as I drank the sweet soy milk, I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. My new father didn't notice I was crying, too upset to do anything but chain smoke. I wiped the tears from my face with the palm of my hand, clutching my stomach. I looked at him with feigned discomfort. Daddy, my tummy hurts. May I go to the bathroom? My new father shot me an impatient glance. Well, don't just stand there, go. I shot my father a bitter glance, pushed back my chair, and headed in the direction of the restroom. But when it came time to turn, I didn't go to the restroom. Instead, I dashed into the kitchen. I slipped out through the diner's back door. I just kept running and running. I ran straight to the place where I'd encountered the murderer in my previous life, and knocked on the door. The moment the door swung open, my whole body trembled. I'll give you 5 million to kill my father for me. I first saw 5 million written on the lottery shop wall. I don't know exactly how much 5 million is, but it must be a fortune. Otherwise, why would my father from my past life have heartlessly killed me? The man who opened the door crossed his arms and chuckled at me. Where did this kid come from? With nerves of steel, asking to hire a hitman right off the bat. My eyes widened in terror. The man before me resembled the one from my past life. It felt distinctly different. He still wore the same brown leather jacket, but the gruesome scar was gone from his face. His demeanor had shifted too. Gone was the severity, replaced by a certain gentleness. I suddenly felt torn. Could it be that the man in this lifetime hasn't become a murderer yet? I slumped like a deflated balloon, burying my head in my hands. Ever since I came back from being reborn, I've been thinking and thinking about it. What if my parents try to kill me again? I've exhausted every option, and this murderer is my last resort. But now, I suddenly burst into tears, overwhelmed with self-pity. Am I really destined to be sold by my own father, turned into a flowerpot girl begging on the streets? But I want to go to school, just like my big brother does. Seeing me cry, the man grew flustered. He hurriedly crouched down. Hey now, kid, what's with the waterworks all of a sudden? I was just about to say, excuse me. The angry shouts of my new father echoed from nearby. A shiver ran through my body in fright. I ducked under the man's arm and dashed into the house. Shut the door, quick, I cried in panic. My dad's coming. The man looked at me calmly. Running away from home isn't a good idea, kid. I was so frantic that my sobs grew even louder. I choked up between sobs. But if I don't run away, my dad will sell me off to be a flowerpot girl, for some inexplicable reason. The man's face turned ashen when he heard my words. 6. He violently slammed the door shut. After locking it, he started walking toward me. Not only did he approach me, but several other men also stepped forward from behind him. That's when I realized there were several other men in the room besides the murderer. Kid, hurry up and tell us about the flowerpot girl. I stared at them in terror. I never imagined that right after escaping my new father's prison, I'd fallen straight into another den of bloodshed. I burst into tears, hysterical. The men immediately started scrambling around in a fluster. The slightly chubby man pulled out a chocolate bar. Don't cry, sweetie. Here's some chocolate for you. I squinted and took a quick glance. Who wants chocolate anyway? My tongue's going numb from the bitterness. I took a deep breath and kept crying. A tall man made funny faces to cheer me up, but his expression only reminded me of my father from a past life, who grimaced as he threw me off a cliff. Terrified, I cried even harder. The murderer who had just opened the door for me said in a booming voice, "Keep crying, and your dad will hear you." My sobs caught in my throat instantly. I pursed my lips, not daring to make another sound. The group of grown men let out a collective sigh of relief. The tall man stood up and patted the murderer on the shoulder. "Ash, I had no idea you were so skilled at dealing with criminals. You seem pretty experienced with kids too." The murderer brushed his hand away in disgust and crouched down in front of me. "Hey kid, we're police officers. If you tell us about the flowerpot girl, we can make sure your dad doesn't sell you." I stared at him with a hint of fear, remaining silent for several seconds before stiffening my neck and saying, You have. What proof do you have that you're a police officer? And the villagers say, even the police can't handle the flowerpot girl case." The murderer let out a cold sneer. "That's not necessarily true. I came here specifically to arrest that whole group of people." As he spoke, the man pulled out a police badge. "See, this is my police identification." My eyes were locked on the man in military uniform pictured in the blue notebook. "Can you really stop them from selling me?" The man gave a solemn nod. Seeing his expression, a wave of relief washed over me, but before I could even feel happy, a sudden tightness gripped my chest. This was immediately followed by a wave of dizziness. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in an exquisitely decorated room. Sitting by my bedside was a beautiful woman with short hair, wearing a white blouse. When she saw I was awake, she smiled and stroked my forehead. "You're awake, sweetheart." I stared at her for several seconds. "Miss, are you a police officer too?" The woman nodded with a warm smile. "That's right, I'm Serena, so remember, you can tell me anything, okay?" I carefully studied the expression on the woman's face. I stared for the longest time, but couldn't make anything out. In my past life, when Dad lied to me, his expression would turn stiff. When Mom deceived me, only half a smile would curl at the corner of her lips. But the smile on this woman's face was truly lovely. After wrestling with it for quite a while, I finally decided to trust her. "I can give you 5 million, no, 6 million, or even 7 million. Will you take me away from here?" My sister smiled and ruffled my hair. "Not so fast. If you want me to take you away, you'll have to tell me the story of the flowerpot girl first." I tilted my head in confusion. "Do you mean I have to tell you about both lifetimes?" The woman was taken aback for a moment, but she quickly composed herself and smiled at me. "You're right," after a long silence. I ended up telling her everything about my past life and this one. For some reason, my sister cried the whole time I was speaking, and by the time I finished, her eyes were swollen like light bulbs. "It's no big deal." My heart ached as I looked at her. "Do we have any boiled eggs here? If you warm your eyes with a boiled egg, the swelling will go down." When my mom used to hit me, I'd cry until my eyelids were all red and puffy, but then I'd use a warm boiled egg from breakfast to soothe them, and the pain would fade after a while. But for some reason, that only made her cry even harder. I could only look at her with a sigh of helplessness. This big sister is such a crybaby. After a long silence, I reached out and hugged her, mimicking how my father used to hold me. There, sis, let me give you a hug. A good hug will make the tears go away." Her crying caught Ash's attention, and he came into the room. He furrowed his brow slightly. "Seven, why are you crying now?" I looked at him with mild disdain. "When a girl cries, she needs to be comforted." I picked up that line from the TV playing in the small restaurant earlier. Ash grinned widely. "Oh, you're young but quite the grown-up, aren't you? You actually know about this?" Ash walked over and wrapped his arms around both me and my sister, pulling us close. "All right now, a hug from your hubby, a little cuddle and the tears will stop." I was just about to compliment Ash, with a single shove. The sister sent Ash sprawling flat on his back. "Get lost. Since when are you my husband?" The sister ran out of the room in tears. Ash curled his lip and picked himself up off the floor. "See what you've done, you little troublemaker. Your sister just hit me." "All right, stay here for now. I'll get that tall guy to come keep you company while I go calm your sister down." I watched Ash walk away. A faint smile touched my lips. I don't know why. A sweet, indescribable warmth bloomed in my chest. After that, I stayed in this house, and every day different uncles would come to play with me, but the one who spent the most time with me was that tall older brother. This period was the absolute happiest time of both my lifetimes. The only thing that upset me was that I told every brother the lottery numbers, and not a single one of them actually went to buy a ticket. Every time, I'd be trembling with rage. Yet they'd just laugh and tease me. I couldn't understand why the wealth my father had craved for 2 lifetimes meant so little to them, until one day, Uncle Fatty suddenly shrieked, "Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap." Everyone crowded around. Uncle Fatty swallowed hard. "The lottery numbers Luna gave me yesterday just hit the jackpot," the tall brother said in alarm. "Quick, check the previous winning draws. Holy crap. These are the lottery numbers Luna gave me last time. And for this draw, aren't these the exact numbers she gave me as a prize after losing at rock, paper, scissors?" Everyone stared at me in disbelief. I just glanced at them dismissively and went back to jumping rope. "I told you so." But you wouldn't believe me. Just as everyone was closing in, ready to press me with more questions, Ash stormed over, his face contorted with rage. "Luna, go to your room. Now, you all, come with me to the next room." I was startled by the look on Ash's face and was about to pout and cry. Serena walked over and took my hand. "Don't be scared, Luna. Come back to the room with me." Back in the room, Serena looked at me with gentle eyes. "Luna, promise me one thing, never recite lottery numbers for anyone again." I looked at her with some confusion, but why not? I like those uncles and brothers, and I want them to become rich. My sister reached out and gently brushed the stray hairs away from my forehead. "Luna, everyone likes money, but only the money we earn with our own hands has real value and meaning. Do you think cheating is right? Then what's the difference between telling your brothers the lottery numbers and helping them cheat? Promise me that from now on. No matter who asks you for the lottery numbers, you won't tell them. Not me, not Ash, not even your parents. Just like how you bravely kept it from your parents before, you need to keep it from everyone now." Listening to Serena's gentle voice, though I couldn't grasp her meaning, I nodded solemnly nonetheless, beyond the fact that I stopped mentioning the lottery tickets. The other brothers in the room never brought up the lottery again either. It was as if lottery tickets had completely vanished from my life. Then one day, the sound of our new father's voice echoed through our home. He pounded on the door with thunderous force. "8, come out, give me back my daughter. If you don't hand her over, I'm calling the police." I trembled from head to toe in terror. My tall brother, who stayed home to play with me, said calmly, "Luna, don't be afraid, I'll protect you. Now listen to me and go to your room." Not wanting to cause my brother any trouble, I retreated to my room trembling, but I left the door slightly ajar. I saw my brother go to open the door for Dad. The door had barely cracked open when my brother was shoved to the ground by a powerful force. 7 or 8 burly men filed into the room. Leading the group were my father and the owner of the potted doll shop. The pot shop owner scanned the surroundings. "Where's that wretched girl? Hand her over." My brother furrowed his brow and got up from the ground. "Who are you people? What are you doing in my house?" The flower pot shop owner let out a cold laugh. "You're just an outsider. How dare you arrest people on our turf? You're asking for death." As soon as the flower pot shop owner finished speaking, the thugs behind him closed in. They pinned my brother's arms and started beating him. I watched them kick my brother in the stomach. I watched them pummel my brother's head with their fists. Blood gushed from the corner of my brother's mouth. I clamped my hand over my own mouth, tears dripping down to soak my palm. When I saw them about to slam my brother's head against the wall, I rushed forward trembling. "Stop it, you can't hit my brother." Hearing my voice, my brother began trembling all over. He looked at me with tearful eyes. "Luna, run, get out of here." The flower shop owner sneered and delivered several more brutal kicks to my brother's head. I watched as more and more blood streamed down my brother's face, my body trembling. I picked up the fruit knife from the table and pressed it against the side of my neck. Don't any of you lay another hand on him, or I'll do it right now. You'll never get the lottery numbers. The lottery numbers I gave you earlier, they were fake. I know the real, winning numbers." The moment I spoke, my father's face instantly darkened. He glared at me with pure rage. "Luna, you little bitch, you even lied to me." I stared intently at the man I called my new father. You're not my real father at all." The moment I finished speaking, a sharp pain shot through the wrist holding the knife. 9. Then came a blow to my gut. A thug suddenly circled behind me, snatched the knife, and kicked me away like a rag doll. Seeing me beaten, my brother, who'd been knocked to the ground, clawed his way up with a savage grimace. He rushed over and tried to grab the thug who was about to seize me, but just as he was about to reach the thug, the fruit knife in the thug's hand instantly plunged into my brother's body. I stared in horror at the scene unfolding before me. I burst into tears, hysterical. I crawled desperately toward my brother. I clung to the thug's leg with a death grip. I frantically sank my teeth into the thug's flesh. But all I could see was the recurring image of my brother being stabbed repeatedly by the gangster. My brother's blood soaked my hair and stained my cheeks crimson, until finally, my brother's body went limp like a broken puppet and was shoved aside by the thug. I scrambled up in terror, lunging for the knife in the thug's hand. "I need a second chance at life. If I get to live again, my brother will survive." But before I could even lay a finger on him, he grabbed me and hoisted me off my feet. He grabbed my legs and gave them a practice twist. A loud crack echoed through the air. Excruciating pain instantly shot through my entire body. My legs went limp and dangled uselessly. The thug lifted me up like I was a helpless chick. The owner of the pot doll shop grinned at the thug. Jake's potting technique keeps improving. Fine then, once she reveals all the lottery numbers, we'll sell her off to another city as a pot doll. The new father fawned obsequiously at the pot doll shop owner. No problem, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. I was dragged out the door by some thugs, but right at the entrance, I ran into Ash and my brothers. I screamed in terror, "Get out of here, don't come any closer, hurry, get out of here." I was shattered, like an old ox lowing in endless sorrow, but Ash and my brother didn't listen to me. He started walking toward me. My vision blurred with tears as I watched the scene unfold before me. I watched Ash kick the pot-bellied boss. I saw the other brothers restraining my father. In the blink of an eye, the thug holding me pressed a knife against my neck. "Let us go, or I'll slit her throat." Ash pulled a gun from his trouser pocket. The thug glared viciously at Ash. "Looks like you want this hostage dead." The thug was about to slash my throat with his blade. My body suddenly went heavy. 10. The hoodlum slammed me onto the ground. Just as I let out a blood-curdling scream, Ash caught me firmly in his arms. That's when I noticed the thug had been subdued by Serena. In panic, I wrapped my arms tightly around Ash's neck. "Ash, let me die. If I die, I can save tall brother. Tell him to kill me." Ash pressed my face firmly against his chest. "Hush now, this is grown-up business." No sooner had Ash spoken than the thug who'd been lying on the ground suddenly scrambled to his feet. He pulled a knife from his pant leg and lunged straight for Ash's back. My pupils contracted sharply. "Watch out." The next instant, Ash twisted aside. The blade sliced viciously across Ash's face. A torrent of blood instantly cascaded down. I stared at the scene in horror, sobbing and wailing. I reached out desperately to cover the wound on Ash's face, but the blood seemed to have a life of its own, relentlessly seeping through my fingers. No, please don't die." When I woke up again, I was in a white hospital room. My leg was in a cast. My forehead was wrapped in gauze. I looked at Serena sitting by the bedside. Tears instantly streamed down my face. He knocked on the door. "Sis, please let me die. That way I can save tall brother and Ash." Serena chuckled and ruffled my hair. "Silly goose, I asked your dad. Your resurrection ability can only be used once, and you've already used it up." I broke down into hysterical sobs. Then, does that mean even if I die, I can't save Ash and tall brother anymore? Just then, the hospital room door swung wide open from the inside. Ash walked in with bandages wrapped around his face. Tisk, what a waste of all that candy I bought you, you little ingrate, always wishing I were dead." I looked at Ash, caught between tears and laughter, but Ash turned a stern face toward me. "Listen here, little Luna, you need to calm down right this instant. If you keep giving the doctors a hard time and causing trouble, I'll have to spank your bottom." I flinched with a shiver down my spine from his scare, and he successfully earned himself an eye roll from Serena. But after Ash left, I felt inexplicably sad again. Every time I close my eyes, the scene of the tall brother's death reappears. I often jolt awake right after falling asleep. I'd often burst into tears for no apparent reason. Later, a lovely lady was admitted to our hospital room. She encouraged me to draw. She would tell me stories. She even played with me, but somehow, gradually, the pain began to fade. I had been in the hospital for a long time before the doctors finally said I could be discharged. The moment I learned I was going to be discharged, I felt an unprecedented sense of panic. I had no idea where I would be sent. Serena seemed to have noticed my confusion. She smiled and linked arms with Ash. "Let's reintroduce ourselves, little Luna. Starting today, I'll be your mother, and he'll be your father." My eyes widened in disbelief. "Will you be my new mom and dad?" Ash looked at me with mild disdain. "Exactly. If it weren't for you, your mother wouldn't have agreed to marry me. My standing in this family is pretty low." I giggled at Ash's, no, Dad's, remark. I went to my new dad and mom's house. The place was beautifully decorated, all in my favorite shade of pink. I even got my own room. Dad said I could do whatever I wanted, but I wasn't allowed to bother his wife, and without fail, he'd get sent flying by Mom again, every time. My parents would have me in stitches, until one day, Mom came home with a backpack for me. He said I could start kindergarten. I was overjoyed at that moment. My greatest dream across 2 lifetimes had always been to receive an education. I had finally made that dream come true, but after the initial euphoria, an inexplicable melancholy settled over me. I asked gloomily, "Mother, may I go visit Uncle Tall, 11? Mom's body gave a violent shudder. "Luna, let's wait until you're a little older, okay?" Even though I was utterly heartbroken, I knew Mom had my best interests at heart. Truth is, I'd known all along that the auntie who came to play with me in the hospital room was a psychologist. I saw the diary Mom keeps locked in the drawer, where she documents my daily life. These days, even though my heart often feels heavy and bitter, I still force back the urge to cry and put on a smile, because that's what Mom and Dad want to see. I found out about my biological father's situation on a weekend afternoon. That day, I took the $5 my mom gave me to buy soy sauce at the corner store downstairs. The elderly neighbor next to the store had his TV on, broadcasting the news. City Bus's largest human trafficking ring to date. 20 suspects involved, including Derek, Liang Xiaofeng. I stared fixedly at my biological parents standing in the dock. Beneath the news anchor's voice, I learned their final fate. Both Mom and Dad were sentenced to death. Beneath the news anchor's detached tone, the old man's furious muttering could be heard. These human traffickers deserve to have their family lines end with them. The old man's harsh words made my cheeks burn with shame. I rushed back home without even buying the soy sauce. Mom furrowed her brow slightly when she saw me. "Luna, what's wrong? Tell me what happened." I forced a smile. I'm fine, to my surprise. My usually gentle mother suddenly lost her temper. "Luna, cry right now. I mean this instant. Start crying." I shook my head with a faint smile. I'm fine. But Mom was the one who started crying. She yanked me up and landed several sharp smacks on my backside. Cry right now. You will cry for me." I couldn't tell whether Mom was being too harsh, or if my bottom just hurt that much. I burst into tears with a loud wail. My lips twisted bitterly. "Mom, I'm the child of a human trafficker. I don't deserve to have children. I should have." Mom pulled me tightly into her embrace. "No, you're not. You're the child of me, Serena, and Ash. Your name is Luna. You're not called Luna. Your father and mother are police officers. You're not the child of human traffickers. From today onward, I want you to burn these words into your memory." Hearing my mother's words, I cried even harder. That's right. I'm not the child of human traffickers. I'm the child of police officers. Just before my 6th birthday, my parents finally agreed to let me visit my tall brother. That day, my mother asked what I wanted for my 6th birthday. I mustered up my courage and asked, "Mom, can I go see the tall brother?" Mom didn't give me an answer right away, but that same day, a fierce argument erupted from my parents' room. "How could you agree? Why would you agree? Luna is still so young to be going through things like this. I won't allow anything that could hurt Luna." "Serena, I know you care deeply about Luna, but she's not like other children. She's remarkably mature for her age. She'll be just fine." Just because Luna is mature, does that mean she should have to endure hardships that even adults struggle with? I'd rather she were like any ordinary child, without that burden of understanding. But that's what Luna wants, isn't it? 12, lying in bed, I listened to Mom and Dad arguing because of me. My heart felt heavy and sour. But I still wanted to go see Uncle Tall Guy, but I never expected that when I woke up the next morning, the living room was already filled with lots of gifts. Dad came back from outside, drenched in sweat. I complained to my mom with a smile. "Look at you, why did you prepare so much stuff? Anyone who didn't know better would think we run a supermarket." My mom tidied up the fruit in the living room. "You have no idea what you're talking about. This is Luna's first time going to Xander's house to thank him for saving her life. The gifts need to be substantial." My eyes widened in delight. "Mom, does that mean you're letting me go to Uncle Xander's house?" Mom came over and gently stroked my head. "That's right. I'll always support whatever Luna wants to do." I went to Uncle Xander's house that very day. As I gazed at the black and white photograph displayed in the living room, I broke down in tears. I was hysterical. I remembered the moment when Xander saved me. I remembered how he was stabbed repeatedly, one brutal blow after another. I knelt down and kowtowed 3 times to Uncle Xander with deep reverence. "Thank you, tall brother, for saving my life." I then kowtowed 3 times to Uncle Xander's parents, Grandma and Grandpa. "From now on I'll be like your own granddaughter. When I grow up, I'll earn money to take care of you both, and Mom and Dad. Thank you for giving me this wonderful life I have now." On my 6th birthday, Mom wanted to throw me a big birthday party. I told Mom I wanted to go to the lottery ticket store. Mom paused for a moment, then smiled and ruffled my hair as she agreed. I went to the lottery shop and bought the last set of numbers I remembered from my previous life. On the same day I claimed the prize. I donated all the money to the Red Cross. I requested that the funds be specifically allocated to rescuing trafficked children. On my 6th birthday, I made a wish. I wished for my brother Xander to become a baby and be Mom's child. I promised to take care of him just as he'd always taken care of me. Story 2. When I found the wounded celestial lord, I destroyed the life-saving spirit herb without hesitation. In my past life, I toiled to heal him. Yet when he awoke, his wounds shimmered with my junior sister's blue healing energy. Not my crimson power. She tearfully accused me of stealing her precious herb, branded a thief by our clan. I was cast into the Blackwater dungeon as a lowly medicine slave, my flesh rotting until death claimed me in agony. Meanwhile, she ascended to immortality for saving the Celestial Lord, inheriting the entire Valley of Medicinal Kings. When my eyes opened again, I'd returned to the day we first met. Without my spirit herb this time, let's see how my junior sister plans to save anyone. What should we do, senior sister? Should we hurry and save them? My junior sister's timid voice echoed in my ears as I opened my eyes, and there she stood before me. To my shock, I realized I'd been reborn, right back to the very day I first encountered the wounded Divine Sovereign. I glanced at my cousin's innocent face before turning to the injured Divine Lord lying on the ground. The pain from my past life still lingered, and now another wave of heartache washed over me, spreading bitterness through my entire being. 1. My junior sister and I lived together in the Valley of Medicinal Kings. Gifted since childhood, I became the most skilled physician the valley had seen in centuries, yet my junior sister was mediocre in talent and prone to idleness. While gathering herbs on the mountainside, I came across a handsome young man gravely wounded by the roadside, bound by a healer's oath. I couldn't bear to leave him dying in the valley and devoted all my skills to save him. I even used the celestial herb I'd nurtured for decades, barely half matured, to revive him. Upon awakening, the man revealed himself as a celestial lord who would elevate his savior to immortal status. I eagerly shared the news with my junior sister, only for her to turn around and falsely accuse me of stealing her celestial herbs. I tried to explain, but she immediately produced evidence against me. She urged everyone to examine the man's wound, where the healer's medicinal energy would inevitably linger. She claimed the residual energy would clearly reveal who was lying. Everyone nodded in agreement, yet strangely, the energy flowing from the man's wound was my junior sister's blue medicinal power, not my red energy. At this point, the crowd fully believed her story, leaving me no chance to defend myself. And they call you the top healer. Turns out you're just a petty thief stealing others' credit. Whispers and slander struck me down as the mob's condemnation echoed, dragging me off to the dungeons. In an instant, I fell from being the revered medical prodigy to becoming the lowest of drug-testing convict slaves. Day and night they tortured me, forcing every known poison into my body until my flesh rotted away in agony. My thoughts returned to the present as I gazed at my junior sister's innocent face. A barely detectable glint of hatred flashed in my eyes. Save her, of course we will, only this time, I'll make sure she reaps what she sows. Since she enjoys framing others, let her experience the misery of becoming the lowest grade medicine puppet. We brought the man back to the Valley of Medicinal Kings. My junior sister watched the man with visible concern, eager to save him immediately, yet she lacked experience and her medical skills were still unrefined. After channeling her spiritual energy multiple times, the man showed no signs of improvement. His condition only worsened. My junior sister was as frantic as an ant on a hot griddle. After yet another failed treatment, my junior sister looked at me with puppy dog eyes. Senior sister, he's in such bad shape. Shouldn't we use the symbiotic immortal herb to save him? She tugged at my sleeve, but I remained silent, looking down at her with an air of superiority. Before we knew it, our master burst through the door and stormed toward us, his face flushed with anger. The Valley of Medicinal Herbs is a sacred place for immortals. How could you bring outsiders here so casually? Though visibly trembling, my junior sister stood alone, shielding the man with her body. Saving lives is the first lesson our master taught us. We cannot stand by and watch someone die. She spoke with righteous conviction, clearly determined to save him at all costs. The master flew into a rage upon hearing this and roared at us to get out. How dare you disobey me? Go kneel in the ancestral hall and reflect on your actions this instant. The master drove me out but kept my junior sister behind alone. As I left, I secretly eavesdropped on their conversation using my enhanced hearing. The junior sister shooed all the servants away and, after making sure no one was around, whispered mysteriously to the master, "The person we saved is of noble status. This might lead to extraordinary opportunities." The master studied her expression and found no trace of deception. His previously angry countenance softened into one of quiet satisfaction. Our little one has finally grown up and become sensible. I withdrew my magic, only then realizing my junior sister had also been reborn. Just then, my master called out to stop me. "Enough! Come back now! No need to kneel in punishment at the ancestral hall." Deep down I already knew what he was thinking, yet I still turned back. The master paused thoughtfully, wearing a contemplative expression, then addressed us. "Since childhood, I've taught you never to abandon those in mortal peril. Now that you've mastered our arts, this is your moment to save a life." Throughout this, the master repeatedly hinted that I should use my bonded spirit herb to heal the man. My heart ached violently, and a dull sting crept up my nose. It seems my very existence was just to pave the way for my junior sister. All my efforts now seem utterly ridiculous in hindsight. From the moment I stepped into the Valley of Medicinal Kings, no matter how hard I tried, our master always favored my junior sister. Even though my junior sister was mediocre in talent, the master patiently demonstrated the spells to her over and over again, Yet when I showed the slightest slack, the master mercilessly punished me by making me stand in the snow. Now, just because of my junior sister's dubious claim, he actually believed her and pushed me aside. Resentment, indignation, a whirlwind of emotions churned in my heart. In this second life of mine, I'll definitely expose how my junior sister swapped my spirit herbs. I'll clear my name and reveal my junior sister's true colors to everyone. Go save him now. The master knows you've always had a kind heart since childhood. You wouldn't leave someone to die. The master put on this whole act of caring for me, but never actually had my best interests at heart. Faced with my master's emotional blackmail, I had no choice but to pretend to agree for the moment. With such compassion from my master, of course I must go to the rescue. Just as expected, after I said this, he and my junior sister exchanged smug smiles, their eyes gleaming with undisguised cunning. I smiled at them with utmost sincerity before making up an excuse to send them away. I don't like having people around when I'm treating patients. Normally I'm aloof and stubborn, never yielding an inch when it comes to things I refuse to do. My master had expected me to refuse. Seeing my attitude, he immediately took my junior sister away without another word, as if afraid I'd change my mind. I looked at the suffering man on the bed and rubbed my temples wearily. I examined the spirit herb on me again, recalling how in my past life when my junior sister inspected the wounds, the man's injuries unexpectedly emitted a blue medicinal aura. Now I had no choice but to blame my spirit herb for this. Upon closer inspection, though the herb appeared normal on the surface, its roots emitted a faint blue glow barely noticeable to the eye. Against the backdrop of my crimson radiance, this faint luminescence seemed even more insignificant. The light was so domineering, as if it would invade my sacred herb's territory the moment I let my guard down. Examining the roots closely, I immediately recognized the distinctive blue vein pattern, my junior sister's signature mark. My heart wrenched with sudden pain. The herb that had accompanied me for decades now pulsed with her medicinal essence. Spreading the herb across my palm, I steeled myself before slowly closing my fist, crushing it beyond recovery. Tears streamed down as the celestial herb perished, leaving nothing but bitterness in my heart. The powdered remnants of the sacred herb scattered with the wind. Clearly my junior sister had tampered with it. I silently vowed to uncover the truth and cultivate a new batch uncontaminated by her meddling. As I began nurturing fresh seedlings, my junior sister happened to pass by, feigning innocent curiosity. "Senior sister, don't you already have an identical spirit herb? Why cultivate another one?" My junior sister voiced her confusion, mistakenly thinking we lacked enough medicinal herbs to treat the man, saving that man meant everything to her. So she cautiously asked me, "Senior sister, if we're short on herbs, just tell me, I'll go gather more for you." Seeing my junior sister's feigned innocence made me sick to my stomach. I forced a friendly smile and lied through my teeth. "The elder needs these herbs for new medicine, that's why I'm cultivating them." She nodded vaguely and asked no further questions. In her mind, as long as I could heal that man, I'd served my purpose. Whatever else I did wouldn't concern her. I never hid my cultivation of spirit herbs from the Valley of Medicine masters, and soon others began questioning my actions. Why would I cultivate new herbs when I already had mature ones at hand? Whispers followed me, but I neither answered nor explained. Soon the questions ceased, and my cultivation progressed even faster. The spirit herbs finally flourished under my meticulous care. I examined the mystical herb with great excitement, its potent energy radiating a vibrant crimson glow that matched my own alchemical aura. With a weight lifted from my heart, I plucked the herb and carefully separated its leaves for the brewing ritual. Surely now, I thought, the herb's essence would fully assimilate into my signature scarlet potency. Eagerly tossing the herb into the cauldron, I was stunned to see faint azure flickers emerge during the alchemical process. Puzzled, I halted my incantation and picked up the freshly formed elixir, only to find it once again tainted with my junior sister's azure essence. Rage surged through me. With a flick of my wrist, I reduced the painstakingly cultivated celestial herbs to ashes in an instant. Fury burned in my chest. Why did my alchemy always end this way? My elixirs inevitably replaced by her damned blue concoctions. When my master and junior sister entered my alchemy chamber, they immediately began snooping around like suspicious rodents. I knew they were watching to see if I'd actually save anyone, but the moment they stepped in, they witnessed me destroying the celestial herb. Now with the half-life herb reduced to dust, my master stormed over in fury, jabbing a finger at my face as he berated me. "How dare you destroy something as sacred as the half-life herb on a whim?" My junior sister chimed in with malicious glee, her face twisted in spiteful mockery. If you didn't want to save them, you should have just said so. Now that you've destroyed the symbiotic spirit herb, how are we supposed to heal anyone? She struck a self-righteous pose, making it seem like I was the villain who refused to help. Faced with our master and junior sister's accusations, I didn't get angry. Instead, I looked at her with feigned innocence and said, "Junior sister, the companion herb won't save them. Only the linglong grass works." The companion herb failed and burned itself to ashes when the revival attempt collapsed. I feigned helplessness, my voice laced with undetectable venom. The bait's been cast, now we wait for the fish to bite. Understanding flashed in my junior sister's eyes as the corners of her mouth curled into a conspicuous smirk. "Oh, I see now." My junior sister flashed me a triumphant smile, her eyes seeming to say, "So this is how you save people. You're nothing special." The truth was, that delicate spirit herb was her bonded companion plant, but the linglong grass only grew in such harsh environments that it was rarely ever seen. The only places to harvest linglong grass were the bitter cold mountain peaks or the treacherous depths of raging rivers. What should we do, senior sister? We don't have that linglong grass now. The junior sister looked genuinely distressed, her urgency to save lives making everyone praise her kindness. I pointed her in a direction and turned to her. "The linglong grass you're looking for grows on this mountain, though harvesting it might prove challenging." She shrugged with indifference, yet her eyes burned with determination. "If it saves lives, any sacrifice is worth making." My junior sister put on such a convincing act of being determined to save lives that everyone praised her maturity. Even our master kept nodding approvingly. True enough, after hearing my words, she actually went alone to the high mountains to gather the celestial herbs. After she left, I went by myself to the base of the cliff. The linglong grass, a symbiotic celestial herb, the medicine refined from it always gets replaced by my junior sister's blue medicinal energy. I suspect the celestial herb was contaminated by my junior sister's blue alchemical energy, which caused the elixir refinement to fail. Legend says natural spirit herbs are nurtured by the essence of heaven and earth, remaining untainted by external influences. However, these spirit herbs grow in extremely elusive locations that shift with the passage of time. After prolonged analysis and searching, I've concluded the natural spirit herb should currently be beneath the cliffs of the Herbal King Valley today. Just as expected, after descending the cliff, I spotted a natural spirit herb brimming with spiritual energy. It radiated an awe-inspiring aura, emanating the sacred essence of heaven and earth that no mortal should profane. 3. The spirit herb grew in a perilous location, and magic couldn't be used for harvesting. To avoid damaging this natural treasure, I had to collect it by hand. After relentless effort, I finally succeeded in gathering the natural spirit herb. I believe these naturally grown spiritual herbs, nurtured by heaven and earth, would remain unaffected by the spiritual energy of my junior sister and me. The refined medicine would undoubtedly carry the essence of my own spiritual power. I took out my portable alchemy furnace and eagerly tossed in the natural spiritual herbs. Obsessed with producing elixirs free from my junior sister's blue-hued medicinal energy, I paid no attention to the brewing process. My sole focus was on perfecting the concoction. The elixir was finally refined, and I took it out once more. To my surprise, I spotted my junior sister's blue spiritual essence lingering on the pill. Faint wisps of blue energy hovered over the elixir, almost as if mocking me. The absurdity of it all enraged me, and in my fury, I destroyed the freshly brewed elixir. Left with no choice, I prepared to retreat from the cliff to reconsider my strategy. Just as I took flight, to my surprise, an invisible barrier had materialized above the cliff. Time and again I charged upward, only to be violently repelled, each failed attempt leaving me more grievously wounded. I looked up at the barrier, utterly bewildered, yet upon that barrier flowed an eerie blue mist of celestial energy. My junior sister's blue medicinal energy clung to me like a vengeful specter, refusing to dissipate. A sudden sense of foreboding gripped my heart, though this barrier pulsed with my junior sister's blue energy. Her cultivation was still unrefined. How could she possibly have crafted such a formidable formation? It felt like someone knew I was coming and deliberately set a trap. To return sooner, I sacrificed half my core elixir to forge a sword, barely managing to break through the barrier and escape. Right now, my spirit is unstable and I'm gravely injured. Every step feels like climbing a slope. Blood still stains the corner of my mouth, and my clothes are torn in several places. Looking every bit like a beggar pleading for alms, passers-by shot me contemptuous looks, and my bizarre alchemy practices only fueled their scornful remarks, yet some showed me a glimmer of pity. I felt helpless and wronged, furious yet powerless. A whirlwind of emotions overwhelms me, and I feel myself crumbling. Why do I always end up with junior sister's blue alchemical energy? I'm completely drained, and I can't fathom how she manages this. Did my junior sister do something to me behind my back? With her amateurish skills, there's no way she could oppose me like this on her own. I must have missed something. On my way back, I encountered more and more people, their expressions growing increasingly hostile toward me. Alarmed, I activated temporal reversion and finally discovered the truth. Turns out my junior sister knew about my alchemy plans and, seeing the man showed no signs of recovery, had prepared in advance to pressure me into treating him publicly. She thought I couldn't handle the pressure, so she rallied everyone against me. All her scheming was just to pave the way for her own ascension. Ignoring the shocked looks around me, I stormed straight back to the Medicine King Valley's cottage. Seeing the man lying weak on the bed, I pressed my dagger against his chest without hesitation. Just then, noises came from outside the door. When I turned, I saw my junior sister leading a group into the room. They happened to witness the moment when I pressed the knife against the man's chest. To them, a knife seemed only capable of killing. Seeing the blade in my hand, they all began condemning me. My junior sister took the lead in denouncing me. Crossing her arms with a shocked expression, she said, "Senior sister, if you didn't want to save him, fine, but now you're trying to silence him permanently." People started hurling insults at me without even knowing the full story. Exactly. Not only did she refuse to help, now she's trying to kill the person. Who would have thought? She turned out to be such a vicious person. They kept judging me recklessly, even threatening to punish me as the villain. My master walked in and looked at me with utter disappointment, even threatening to throw me into the dungeon. "I never thought you'd turn out like this. If word gets out, it'll disgrace me. When you're out there, don't you dare tell anyone I'm your master." The master wore that look of frustrated disappointment, as if he'd made up his mind to brand me a villain. The crowd started praising the master's decision, saying a wicked woman like me deserved nothing but punishment. "In that case, you shall reflect on your actions in the celestial prison." My master said it so casually, as if I belonged in that heavenly dungeon all along. Seeing my master's attitude sent a chill through me, apparently in both this life and the last. He was determined to lock me in that dungeon. No matter what happens, Master always sides with my junior sister. My heart ached, but I forced composure, mustering a strained smile while studying my voice. "Who said anything about killing?" The crowd stared at me in bewilderment, then at the knife in my hand, as if observing a fool, yet some began to trust me. My reputation as the benevolent healer of Medicine King Valley made it unthinkable that I'd wield a blade for murder. Those people still believe I had my reasons for holding that knife. Seeing the tension ease slightly, my junior sister grew frantic. "You're already wielding a knife. If not to kill, then what? Must he stop breathing entirely for it to count as murder? Your guilty conscience betrays you. Spare us the excuses." Her words reignited murmurs among the crowd. Some found my junior sister's argument persuasive, while others remained steadfast in their trust of me, unfazed. I rose calmly and addressed them with composure. "Just watch." All eyes turned to the man's face, and true enough, as I spoke, his eyelids gradually fluttered open. The man sat up with remarkable vigor, looking so revitalized one might mistake him for returning from spiritual cultivation. The junior sister barely had time to be shocked as she saw the man sit up, immediately putting on a fawning expression. Paying no attention to her, the man exuded authority and cleared his throat. "Who saved me?" Before anyone could react, the junior sister rushed forward with feigned urgency, blatantly trying to steal credit. "It was me. Senior sister wanted to kill you." I stopped her just in time. Just like in our past life, she accused me with wild gestures, determined to cement my villainous reputation. Unhurried, I flashed my junior sister a smirk laced with undisguised derision. "I'm clearly the one who saved his life. Your desperation is rather transparent, don't you think?" Undeterred, my junior sister wore a triumphant expression. "I have proof, irrefutable proof. Just examine your wound. My medicinal energy lingers there. The traces don't lie. Last lifetime, she won with this fabricated evidence. But this time, I won't play into her hands." The man immediately checked his wound, but this time, there was no trace of the blue bloodstains his junior sister had described. Panic flashed across the junior sister's face. "How could this be? Where is it? This makes no sense. My blue medicinal essence should be visible here." Refusing to accept defeat, she kept insisting that the man's wound should still be using with her medicinal energy. The man frowned in displeasure. "There's no medicinal effect on my wound as you claimed. Are you playing me for a fool?" Only after the man spoke did everyone realize they'd been deceived by their junior sister. When the truth came out, they all turned against the junior sister, convinced she was trying to steal credit for my work. Who would have thought the youngest disciple was the one stealing others' merits? Yeah, she always seemed so well behaved. How could this happen? Every word struck a chord in her heart, and tears welled up in the junior sister's eyes. "It's not true. I didn't." Sobs. The junior sister sobbed while desperately trying to explain, but her words were instantly drowned out by the crowd's accusations. The group kept chattering away, completely disregarding her feelings. Seeing the crowd's reaction, the master flew into a rage. With one sharp rebuke, everyone fell silent. There's no blue medicinal potency here, but neither is there your red potency. Even if your junior sister didn't save anyone, there's no way it could have been you. Why are you attacking your junior sister like this? What twisted your mind so viciously? Are you really that desperate to steal credit? After the master spoke, the crowd quickly changed their tune and began defending him. Some even started condemning me, saying I shouldn't have disregarded our sex bonds by accusing my junior sister, and they even thought I was trying to steal credit, which suddenly complicated the situation. Instead of getting angry, I smiled and calmly explained my previous actions. I turned to the man unhurriedly and addressed him with neither humility nor arrogance. This is an ancient healing technique. I press the knife against your chest solely to stimulate your body's natural healing ability. This is a secret medical technique from ancient texts. I set up the healing array in advance to activate your self-recovery abilities. That's how you were saved. After I spoke, the crowd finally understood and turned hostile gazes toward my junior sister. Ignoring them, I continued addressing the man directly. So the one who saved you wasn't me, nor my junior sister. It was entirely your own doing. Even as I said this, everyone realized it was me who saved the man before us. The disciples all accused our master of favoritism and began standing up for me. Who knew our master would play favorites like this? Ever since junior sister joined, she's been treated differently. Now that you mention it, that does seem to be the case. Everyone believed that if not for the master's indulgence, their junior sister wouldn't have turned out this way. The man frowned slightly, and only after his deliberate cough did the hall fall silent. Though his voice wasn't loud, it carried undeniable authority, as if his mere words commanded submission. When the man revealed his identity, none expected someone of such high status, a figure even the entire Valley of Medicinal Kings dared not offend. I am the divine sovereign of heaven, your healing hands have saved me, and in return, I shall grant you the chance to attain immortality. What say you? At these words, the crowd erupted in cheers, with many applauding for me. As a prodigy of medicine, I've now become the first disciple to achieve immortality, all thanks to this man. With a wave of his hand, he instantly appointed me as the master of the Valley of Medicinal Kings. With a pleased expression, he told me, "You've got real talent. Once you make another breakthrough, I'll promote you." I nodded at him, only to catch my junior sister looking absolutely green with envy. But we had no time to mind her. The man turned back to our master after speaking. "You've presided over the Valley of Medicinal Kings long enough. It's time to retire." Then he turned to the crowd and formally acknowledged my status before them all. "From this day forth, she shall be your Valley Master of Medicine King Valley. All of you must obey her commands." The crowd erupted in cheers and immediately began prostrating before me. My master scowled in displeasure, shouting at the kneeling figures, "What nonsense is this? No kneeling, on your feet, all of you." With a silencing spell from the man, our master fell speechless, his face flushing crimson with suppressed rage. Turning to my junior sister with an unreadable glint in his eyes, he declared, "This wretch is venomous at heart, let her rot in the thorn prison." The girl wailed and tried to prostrate herself in mercy, but the man callously kicked her aside. "Valley Master, what shall be done with this prisoner?" Without a word from me, the servants understood my intention and dragged the intruder away. A torrent of obscenities filled my ears as my junior sister's voice echoed through the hall, nearly every word directed at me. The crowd looked astonished. Their usually gentle and quiet junior sister had revealed her true colors. I chuckled softly. What better way to expose her true nature to everyone? After attaining immortality, my magical powers grew exponentially as I sat upon the throne, radiating celestial brilliance. 6. Every herb and apprentice in the Valley of Medicinal Kings underwent profound advancement. Since my ascension, the entire valley has been transformed beyond recognition. No trace remains of its former dilapidated state. The masses bowed in reverence before me. I established a free clinic to treat those who couldn't afford medical care due to poverty. I also founded the Herb Sanctuary, taking in homeless orphans and providing them with dedicated tutors. The common folk began regarding me as a divine maiden incarnate, even building a shrine in my honor. The crown prince, traveling incognito, came across the shrine the people had erected for me, curious about my identity. He inquired around, and the townsfolk eagerly explained who I was. His curiosity turned to astonishment. He'd never encountered such a remarkable woman before. He paid me a personal visit, moved by my compassion, and thus began his ardent courtship. For the sake of Medicine King Valley and its people, I declined his advances. He accepted my refusal gracefully, though not without regret, and from that day my renown spread far and wide. I was quite surprised when my master suddenly paid me a visit. He wouldn't come without a reason. There must be something behind this unexpected visit. What brings you here? My face remained expressionless. I couldn't muster even a shred of respect for my master anymore. To my surprise, my master suddenly broke down in tears, pleading, "Please, let your junior sister go." I never realized how much she meant to him until that moment. A bitter ache spread through my body as my heart throbbed with pain, choking back a sob. I asked him with trembling voice, "Why must you always favor her?" With tears in his eyes and voice trembling, my master confessed, "Your junior sister is my own flesh and blood." Sniffling, I nearly shouted, "So you just stand by while she tries to kill me?" The master fell silent at once, glaring at me with clear displeasure. "I still refuse to spare her. Your junior sister is a murderer. Even if released, she'd only wreak havoc. Abandon this foolish notion." Seeing my stubborn resistance, the master stomped in fury and dropped a bombshell revelation. You never realized, did you? I've placed a forbidden curse on you since childhood. Refuse to release your junior sister, and you'll perish together." The master glared at me with sinister certainty, utterly convinced I'd yield. That's when it dawned on me why my junior sister always replaced me in the final stages of alchemy. If I refused to save her, he'd make sure I paid with my life. Seeing my resolute stance, my master lunged at me without hesitation. The cold blade reflected my terrified face. I finally understood my master was hellbent on killing me. With a pained howl, the master was pinned to the ground, vomiting a mouthful of blood in agony. He didn't bother identifying his attacker, instead fixing me with a venomous glare filled with pure hatred. He laughed darkly, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Even if you've wounded me, you'll still die just the same." The master's face twisted into something terrifying, his unblinking eyes fixed on me, as if all his previous mercy, kindness, and righteousness belonged to another lifetime. 7. I stared back at him blankly, showing no reaction, locked in our silent standoff. "What makes you think I'll die?" With a challenging glance, I shot him a look of deliberate nonchalance. The mentor's terrifying demeanor merged with his usual benevolent appearance. Somehow he'd become a completely different person. His face froze in shock as he stared at me in utter disbelief. What's going on? Why aren't you dead from the poison?" A smirk played on my lips, but my eyes remained icy cold. "The day I attained immortality, I purged all forbidden arts from my being. Master, when you cast that curse, did it never occur to you this day would come?" With that, I clapped my hands and summoned several attendants. The master's face twisted in sudden realization, panic washing over his features. "Please, I beg you, don't do this to me." I ordered him to be thrown into the thorn cavern as a medicine test subject. He wailed and screamed, cursing me for being heartless. "You ungrateful wretch, after all I've taught you with such devotion, this is how you repay me. I am your master. Get out, all of you, get the hell out." How dare he still claim to be my master? I've already disowned him in my heart. Nothing he says matters to me anymore, whether in this life or the last. My conscience is clear when it comes to them. Despite their master's protests, he was dragged away. Rumor has it both he and his junior sister endured extreme torture, receiving far harsher punishments than most. They were flayed alive, their leg bones fashioned into gruesome bowls to force-feed them experimental poisons. Even before becoming poison test subjects, they'd tyrannized Medicine King Valley, making countless enemies. When their fortunes finally turned, everyone sought vengeance, hence their exceptionally cruel punishment. The day before the execution, I went to see them. When my junior sister recognized me, her gaunt face twisted with hatred despite her exhaustion. Our master looked utterly drained, like a hollowed-out husk clinging to his last breath. Just as I turned to leave, my junior sister suddenly screamed at me like a madwoman. Why wasn't I the one who achieved immortality? Her face was smeared with blood. Her gaze turned shadowy, filled with resentment, yet utterly devoid of remorse. Recalling her deeds, I let out a scornful chuckle. "What was never yours, will never be yours." My junior sister roared with rage upon hearing my words, struggling to break free as the clanking of chains echoed through the valley. Her furious screams mingled with the metallic clatter, like the last impotent rage of a sewer rat. But I pretended not to hear and walked away without looking back. Only her repetitive cries remained, reverberating through the empty valley. "Come back," I said, "come back. Under my governance, the valley of medicinal herbs has flourished. Abundant harvests now grow where injuries were once commonplace. The valley brims with spiritual energy, and no widows or orphans wander homeless in this world. A utopian harmony now permeates the entire valley of medicinal herbs." The man witnessed my abilities and nodded approvingly before deciding to return to the celestial realm. On the day of his return, he spoke to me at length. "Actually, there's one more thing I haven't told you." Puzzled, I eagerly asked what it was. How could a celestial being like him keep secrets from me? "I've been reborn." His words stunned me. So I wasn't the only one reborn. Did he also remember our past life? "In our previous life, after being deceived by your junior sister, I uncovered the truth and used the cosmic reversal technique to grant us both this rebirth. Before I could process the shock, my mind kept replaying those words I'd said to my junior sister: "What's yours will always be yours, and what isn't will never be. You are always meant to be a celestial being. In this lifetime, you must govern the Valley of Medicinal Kings with wisdom and achieve greatness." Still reeling from the shock, I could only nod dumbly. "I thought even if you didn't save me in this lifetime, I'd still make it up to you. Never expected you'd turn danger into safety with such a brilliant solution. With your remarkable abilities, you must dedicate yourself to great achievements." With those words, he bid me farewell and ascended to the heavens upon a rainbow-hued cloud. "When your virtuous deeds are complete, come meet me in the celestial realm." His words echoed with an ethereal quality through the empty valley. I nodded silently, a single tear escaping the corner of my eye. Master and junior sister have received their due retribution, and the knot in my heart has finally unraveled. Learning the truth that man had concealed from me brought fresh tears, but now at last I can truly embrace my own life. 8. I shall devote myself to studying the magic of celestial herbs and governing the Valley of Medicinal Kings with diligence. When my work here is complete, I'll relinquish my position to live as a carefree immortal, wandering where my heart desires. Story 2. I've been bitten by the love bug, so I posted a video to fish for attention. In the video, there's a man in a suit, only his vague silhouette visible, yet the comment section exploded with wild mentions of the CEO of Yin Corporation, just as someone mocked me, saying, "Even the assistant of a D-list celebrity is trying to gain popularity." A video posted by an employee of Yin Corporation quickly trended. In the video, that famously indifferent man is eagerly tagging himself with a secondary account, his dark eyes serious. Tag a few more times, "Don't let her mistake someone else for me." After securing several endorsements from brands under Yin Corporation, my best friend, with tears in her eyes, hugged me and said, "Babe, I've really hitched my wagon to a star thanks to you." 1. After graduating from college, my best friend Wen and I bravely ventured into the entertainment industry. 5 years on, she remains an unknown in the industry, and I've been her inconspicuous assistant, living off her. No fame, but no shortage of bad roles either. We had freedom to date, stable income, yet actors who started at the same time as Wen have become hot stars. Each time she watched those videos of them walking the red carpet, she'd say enviously, gasping for air, "That damn ex broke up with him and he's been stifling my popularity for 5 years. He can't stand to see me succeed." While I didn't think our situation was too bad, I knew Wen was more ambitious. She loved acting. I fed her strawberries to calm her down. "Didn't he say you can go back to him anytime? Maybe talk to him. Let him not be such a sore loser." Frustrated, Wen threw her phone and gritted her teeth. "Go back to him? As if I'd bowed down to some tycoon's son? I refuse to believe my life will be so mediocre." Suddenly, she turned to look at me, her eyes brightening. "Qian, why don't you find a boyfriend? Ideally someone with a higher status than my ex, and then keep funneling resources my way. I want to play the leading lady too." I caught her as she threw herself at me. Wen, are you really pinning your hopes on me now?" "I can't do it." She looked serious. "Nonsense, you're so beautiful. There aren't many men who deserve you." "What kind of man can't you date?" I knew how ordinary I was. Ever since I was little, I was the gentle, unnoticeable type in any crowd. "Qian, you're beautiful," a compliment not even my mother had given me, but when complimented me the most, when she looked at me, there was a layer in her eyes that others didn't have. I always had blind faith in her. Whatever she said, I believed. Suddenly my eyes sparkled. "Really? Am I that charming?" Wen nodded. "Of course, you're super charming." Seeing her determined look, I pulled out my phone. "All right, then I'll post a video right now. I saw a handsome guy a few days ago and have been keeping it to myself. Normally, my reserved nature would never allow such actions, but Wen was stunned. "What? Are you serious?" I stared at the unintentionally captured silhouette on my phone for a long time before softly saying, "Wen, I thought after I fell for someone in my teens, I would never feel the same for anyone else, but somehow, when I caught this silhouette by accident, my heart skipped a beat. Every time I look at it, it happens again." Determined, Wen stood up. "Let me help you with the caption. Qian, don't be trapped by that unrequited love from your teens. You've finally come to your senses, and I absolutely can't let this guy get away." 2. Wen took my phone and posted the video. In it, there's just a vague silhouette of a man with broad shoulders and a narrow waist, appearing quite tall. The video was only a few seconds long, and fearing it wouldn't be enough, Wen slowed down the footage, the caption she came up with was, "Oh great internet, could you instantly provide me the contact info of this handsome guy? Although it's just a silhouette, it's totally my type. I've got the love bug. Please help a girl out." Looking at the caption, I felt incredibly nervous. It was definitely something I would never dare to say myself. I didn't have high hopes, but surprisingly, my video Despite having only a few fans, went viral. The comments section was buzzing with enthusiasm. Nice, nice, I'm all over this. The sisters have good taste. Even just from his silhouette I can tell he's handsome. Isn't that the classic powerful CEO silhouette? I mean, from just this silhouette, I can sense a detached and noble aura. Does this kind of man even watch videos? He seems like the serious and handsome boss type. No way, sis. You didn't connect in person and now you're fishing across the whole network. The video quickly racked up hundreds of thousands of likes, and soon the comments section was flooded with mentions of the CEO of Yen Corporation from a private account. Users were shocked. No way, someone dared to tag the CEO of Yen Corporation. They recognized him from his silhouette. Wow, it does kind of look like him. When I saw the name Yen Jing, my heart skipped several beats. How could this be? It's unbelievable. I wouldn't believe it even if threatened at knife point. Yen Jing is the youngest CEO of Yen Corporation. He is famously indifferent and has high standards for work, also known as the most unattainable man. In just a few years, he turned Yen Corporation into a dominant force. His name is well known, and I'm just an ordinary person. Soon, mocking voices started appearing in the comments section. Heaven, how could an ordinary person be worthy of Yen Jing? What, even the assistant of some obscure celebrity is trying to gain popularity? That's Yen Jing. How could anyone think they're a match for him? I think I've seen assistant Wen before. She seemed like a quiet and honest person. I didn't expect her to try to connect with Yen Jing. That account that tagged Yen Jing is private and only follows her. Could it be her own burner account? Such a schemer, even if she spams tags, Mr. Yen won't respond. No one in the circle dares to spread rumors about Mr. Yen. Everyone knows how much he hates these tactics. Just an assistant. She'd better tell her actor to improve his acting skills instead of being a nobody after so many years. The ridiculing voices grew louder, and when one was infuriated, are these people born with such keyboards? Criticize me all you want, but not when I'm not famous. I'll go and fight back now. I'm not someone who curses at others. I even blush when I speak too loudly, but like when I can take criticism against me but not against her. Stubbornly, I held my bowl and squatted in the comments section, ready to lash out at anyone who attacked my best friend, but neither Wen nor I had ever seen such huge traffic, and inexperienced as we were, our attempts to fight back didn't succeed. Wen, with red-rimmed eyes, wanted to hire an internet army to help us fight back. But I stopped her as things started to spiral out of control. I was certain the silhouette in the video wasn't Yen Jing since it was filmed near my ordinary neighborhood, a place Yen Jing would never visit, but everyone knows how much Yen Jing despises being involved in rumors. If he took offense, it could spell the end of Wen's career as a star, so I quickly deleted the video, praying that no one from Yen Corporation had seen it. But the day after I deleted the video, a video posted by an employee of Yen Corporation surged to the top of trending searches. In the video, Yen Jing not only wore the same suit as the silhouette in my video, but his lips were also restrainedly curled. The typically aloof man, while using a secondary account to vigorously tag himself, muttered, "Tag a few more times, don't let her recognize the wrong person." The video looks like it was secretly filmed, but every angle is captured just right. I dare not link it to the video I posted about rescuing someone, convincing myself it must be a coincidence, definitely just a coincidence. Then, with a bang, my best friend kicks the door open excitedly. Chan, I got a sponsorship. A mere nobody, actually got a brand sponsorship from Yen Corporation. My chicken leg drops to the floor with a plop. My best friend, wiping the tears streaming down her face, hugs me. "What's up? Are you overwhelmed with joy? I don't blame you. I'm thrilled too, sweetie. I'm really riding on your coattails now." That figure in the background was indeed Yen Jing. It's not easy to get a shot of him. Feeling uneasy, I say, Wen, that's Yen Jing. So what if it's Yen Jing? He's just a man with two eyes and a mouth. I bet he's interested in you. When did you ever have any interaction with him? Wen hugs me, beaming. The CEO of Yen Corporation really has good taste. Showing interest in my Chan. Suddenly, as if realizing something, she pauses her hug. "Wait a minute, Chan, didn't you and Yen Jing go to the same high school?" I don't speak, just nod carefully. My best friend says, "I knew it. How come you suddenly figured it out? That really is Yen Jing. You didn't expect that, did you? A person whom you've admired from the back happens to be the same one you had a crush on in your teens." My heart feels like it's being gripped, as memories of my youth flood in. Nobody knows that the name Yen Jing appeared most frequently on my draft papers. Wen lets go of me, cheerfully opens the closet, and starts picking out unopened clothes. As I come to my senses, I see her holding up clothes against me. Wen, what are you doing? Wen raises her eyebrows at me. Yen Corporation has scheduled a meeting to discuss a partnership tomorrow. I'm picking out clothes for you to wear. Trust me, the CEO of Yen Corporation definitely has a crush on you. Yan Jing having a crush on me, it's something I can't even dare to think about, as I'm such a boring person who he'd likely find least attractive. He's exceptional, and in my eyes, he's someone I can barely look up to. There's just too much of a gap between us. I can only see this collaboration as Yan Jing doing a favor for an old classmate, but the video posted by an employee of Yin Corporation has disturbed my peace of mind, and I'm afraid I can't hold back much longer. Standing in the lobby of Yin Corporation, waiting for the elevator, I feel uncomfortable in the clothes and high heels one picked for me. Just about to press the elevator button, a well-defined hand reaches from behind me and presses it first. My body freezes, my heart feels like it's been gently struck. It's Yan Jing. His fingers are slender, the back of his hand broad and beautiful, a truly handsome hand. Even without seeing the person, I know it's him. Seeing that, I don't turn around. A deep, pleasant voice sounds above my head. Jiang Qian. I purse my lips, slowly turn around, and look up to see a handsome face. His dark eyes seem to curve slightly. Yan Jing's eyebrows lift a bit, and the corners of his mouth subtly curl up. Have you had breakfast? I nod blankly, my gaze falling on the suit he's wearing. The suit, which should look formal, somehow appears effortlessly casual on him. Indeed, only he could make a suit look so rakish. Without thinking, I say softly, long time no see. Classmate Yan Jing. Yan Jing leans in slightly, his eyes level with mine. It's not just a long time no see, you were the one who cut off contact with me. I'm a timid person, always hesitant, and after realizing my own feelings, I was the first to break off contact after high school graduation. I didn't expect that our first meeting after so many years would start with him bringing this up. With my head lowered, I quietly apologized. I'm sorry. Yan Jing didn't make it difficult for me. Seeing my drooping head, he straightened up, his voice carrying a hint of pleasure. I forgive you. Was it really that simple to move on? Was he in a good mood? I was considering whether to make further small talk, as having a good relationship could facilitate much smoother cooperation with my best friend, Director Yin. Suddenly, a man who appeared to be an assistant rushed over from a distance and pushed me aside. Looking puzzledly at Yan Jing. President, this is the staff elevator. Your private elevator is over there. I couldn't tell if it was just my imagination, but Yan Jing stiffened for a moment. His handsome face turned cold as he glanced at Assistant Qin, hands in his pockets, and said nonchalantly, "Let's go. Thanks for reminding me." I didn't realize this was the staff elevator. Assistant Qin, sensing the awkward atmosphere, turned to my best friend and said, "Miss Wen, please take your time coming up. The staff elevator is a bit slow." Before scurrying after Yan Jing, he carefully took out a handkerchief and asked, "President, you have a germophobia. You just touched the staff elevator button. Would you like to wipe your hands?" Yan Jing didn't even look at Assistant Qin, his aura growing colder. "No need. Don't talk to me." My gaze followed his retreating figure. After several years, he seemed to carry an aura of composed nobility. In the meeting room, I sat on pins and needles. Yan Jing reclined lazily in the main seat, tapping the table lightly with his long fingers. Perhaps it was just my imagination, but I felt Yan Jing's gaze occasionally drifting towards me. The him at work and the him I had just met seemed like two different people. His features were particularly sharp, so even when his lips curved into a smile, it felt cold. Everyone in the meeting room seemed quite afraid of him, and the tense atmosphere began to affect me. I shrank back, thinking I was just Wen's assistant and had no real part in this meeting. I just needed to get through it. But at the end of the meeting, when all the collaborations were agreed upon, I heard his languid voice suddenly calling my name, Jiang Qian. Caught off guard, I stood up abruptly, saying loudly, "Present." A collective gasp filled the room, as if admiring my courage and the loudness of my voice. I felt everyone's curious gaze on me, heat climbing up my face. My face flashed with annoyance. "Oh no, please don't call me out in public." Meeting Yan Jing's dark eyes, I smiled, looking more like a grimace, my voice getting quieter. "Present." Yan Jing straightened up, chuckling lightly. "What are you nervous about? I'm not that scary." Another gasp swept through the room. I saw the employees of Yin Corporation exchanging glances, their faces unable to hide their shock, as if to say the boss was acting unusual today. I straightened my back, my gaze earnest. "What would you like me to do, Director Yin?" Yan Jing casually began. "Miss Wen will be shooting an advertisement at our company. Would you like to be my assistant during this period?" Be his assistant, being close to Yan Jing. My heart never settled. This must be a punishment for cutting off contact with him earlier. I didn't want such a thrilling life. Without hesitation, I shook my head. The employees of Yin Corporation's admiration for me deepened. Yan Jing's expression remained unchanged. He simply raised an eyebrow and asked, "Why?" I carefully explained, "Because I have always been Wen's assistant. I've never been an executive assistant before. And being a star's assistant is different from being a president's assistant." I think I might not perform well, so I'd rather not trouble you. He nodded slightly. That's a good reason. I noticed a sparkle in Yanjing's eyes as he looked at me. Right, I also thought my reason was flawless. However, Yanjing was unmoved, staring straight at me. But no worries, I don't mind. I can teach you wherever you lack. I quickly added, there's only one assistant for our artist in my house, and it might be difficult to adjust my working hours. Yanjing leaned back slightly, his gaze sweeping towards Wenwen as he spoke indifferently. Does Miss Wen agree? I turned my gaze to Wenwen. Given the industry rumors about Yanjing's stringent work ethic and his cold demeanor, she surely wouldn't be willing to let me go work closely with him. Catching my pleading look, Wenwen turned to Yanjing and patted her chest emphatically. No objections, Mr. Yan has good judgment. Shallow's learning ability is very strong. Yanjing nodded in satisfaction. With such sincerity from Miss Wen, our company will also arrange the best staff for her. I couldn't believe Wenwen had sold me out like that. No, Yanjing is really intimidating. Yanjing just kept staring at me, making me uncomfortable. I wanted to say more, but he raised his hand, dismissing everyone else, and slowly said, let me have a word alone with Miss Jiang. In the conference room, it was just Yanjing and me, his presence so overwhelming it was hard to ignore. Seeing that I remained silent, Yanjing leaned in and asked, Jiang Qian, after all these years, are you still afraid of me? With such a handsome face in front of me, how could I possibly bear it? I hurriedly averted my gaze and whispered softly, not afraid at all. Yanjing coldly chuckled, you cut off all contact with me after high school graduation, didn't reply to messages, didn't answer calls. Jiang Qian, you're quite ruthless. I've spent years wondering what I did to make you mad. Looking at Yanjing's handsome face, it gradually overlapped with the memory of the proud Yanjing from before. The first time I met Yanjing was on the first day of our senior high school. At 16 he was incredibly arrogant. Back then, there were many rumors about him at school, not just because he was fierce and arrogant, but because he was good at both academics and extracurricular activities. And his family was uniquely prominent in Jing City. He was directly promoted from junior high to senior high with several schools vying for him, while I had struggled hard to get admitted into a middle school in Jing City. Logically, I should have had no interaction with him, but we met even before I entered the school gates. That morning, still groggy, I held my newly bought breakfast in one hand and a trash bag in the other, and without hesitation, I threw the breakfast into the trash bin. After a few steps, I realized the mistake. Still clutching the trash bag in my hand, before I could even feel annoyed, I turned around to meet Yanjing's deep gaze. He was carrying his bag over one shoulder, chewing gum, and walking expressionlessly towards the school, but he stopped because of my action. Yanjing was tall, and his school uniform couldn't hide his rebellious air. Many people sneaked glances at him along the way. Everyone had heard his name. I knew of him too. I heard that even the local delinquents who shunned education didn't dare provoke him because Yanjing was fierce in fights and fearless. After our eyes met, I quickly looked away. I didn't see anything, but he suddenly chuckled lightly, the teasing evident in his eyes. I knew he must have been laughing at my mistake with the breakfast, but I didn't dare ask him to stop and quickly walked away with my head down. Little did I know he would end up being in the same class as me, and he immediately placed his backpack at the last row by the window as soon as he entered the classroom. The seat by the window was a single, highly coveted spot. However, no one dared to choose the seat in front of Yanjing. Everyone was quite intimidated by him, because I got lost while looking for my class and arrived late. The only seat left was the one right in front of Yanjing. Clutching my backpack, I mustered up my courage several times and, facing Yanjing's indifferent gaze, I bravely walked to my seat. During those few short steps, I almost ripped the straps of my backpack. I figured if I didn't look at him, he wouldn't see me. Unexpectedly, Yanjing, propping his chin, lazily looked up and said, "What a coincidence, front desk." I stiffened instantly, pretending not to hear him. Though my movements with my backpack were awkwardly stiff, he chuckled softly. "You're quite timid," I muttered under my breath. "Not timid at all, since I dared to sit in front of you." As I bent down to put away my backpack, I accidentally hit the chair on the desk, which started tipping towards me. Just then, a large hand reached over from behind and firmly steadied the chair. Yanjing's hand was large, the veins faintly visible, and the only thought in my mind was, "What beautiful hands." His cool, pleasant voice followed, "My name is Yanjing. What's yours?" "Front desk." I looked at him dumbfounded, my voice trembling slightly. "Jiang Qian. My name is Jiang Qian." On the first day of freshman year, Yanjing didn't seem to be in a great mood. It was said that he had almost finished learning all the high school material and was forced to attend school by his parents, who hoped he could experience a normal high school life. Initially displeased with this decision, He somehow ended up attending school dutifully every day. I am a timid person, and Yanjing, with his strong facial features and fierce look when not smiling, intimidated me so much that I didn't dare speak to him for a long time. Several times Yanjing seemed like he wanted to say something, but I ignored him. Finally, one day, as I was about to dispose of some trash, he grabbed me. "Let me throw that away for you." I gently pulled my clothes back. "No need, I can do it myself." He grabbed it again. "I'm closer, you don't even need to get up." After a few exchanges, he contentedly threw away the trash for me. Seeing that I was about to return to my exercises, he casually asked, "You're quite scared of me, aren't you?" Looking into his eyes, since he asked, I honestly nodded. He sighed. "What's there to be scared of?" I avoided looking at him and whispered, "It's just, you look scary." He clearly heard my murmur but only chuckled softly, asking, "What did you say?" I quickly covered up. Your tone is intimidating." Yanjing couldn't help but smile. "Okay, I'll speak more softly from now on." I truly got closer to Yanjing because of some local bullies from the neighboring school. In the afternoons after school, I often picked up empty water bottles from the sports field to exchange for money, which I used to buy treats for pets. There were many stray cats and dogs around the school, some even pregnant, and I fed them daily after collecting plastic bottles. At some point, I caught the attention of the bullies from the neighboring school. When they cornered me in the alley, I had resigned myself to the possibility of being beaten, thinking I could just endure it. But when they tried to extort money from me, I couldn't accept that. I'm usually patient, but this time, seeing me tremble with anger, they took me lightly. "What? Thinking of fighting back? Don't make me get physical. Just hand over the cigarette money for us all." It was then that Yanjing's cool voice intervened, coming from behind me. "Looking for trouble, are you?" Yanjing stepped beside me, his presence alone, one tall and one short. Yanjing watched the hoodlums with a cold gaze, yet his lips curled slightly as he murmured, "Front desk, what for? Don't get mad." I nodded, bent over and picked up a brick from the ground. Yanjing was startled. "Jiang Qian, what are you doing?" With the brick in hand and a determined look, I said, "I'm going to finish them off." As I stepped forward, Yanjing quickly pulled me back. Seeing my face turn red with anger, he chuckled softly and adjusted the slipping strap of my backpack. "Wait for me outside the alley. No, just listen to me this time. I'll make them pay." A minute later, I obediently squatted at the corner outside the alley. The sun was half set, painting half of the sky red. It was beautiful. Accompanied by the wailing of the thugs from the alley, Yanjing slowly emerged, his school uniform and face speckled with dust. He didn't seem to care as he bent down to pick up my backpack. "Come on, I'll take you home." But I didn't move, glancing at the scattered empty water bottles and the torn bags in the alley, feeling a sting in my nose. I was upset. I had already picked up the plastic bottles for the day, and those little brats had messed everything up again. Seeing I hadn't moved, Yanjing asked, still angry. I looked up, and he was taken aback by my reddened eyes, suddenly at a loss. "What's wrong?" He knelt down to tie my shoelaces carefully, feeling wronged. I shook my head. "I haven't collected enough bottles today." He knelt in front of me, looking up. "Why collect bottles? I need to buy treats for the stray cats. If I don't go today, they will wait for me." Perhaps not expecting this reason, his eyes softened. "It's okay, I'll help you collect." Hearing this, I remembered the ripped big bag and broke down, my voice quivering with tears. The bags were torn apart by those brats. Yanjing hadn't expected my sudden breakdown and panicked. "Don't cry." He then stood up, went somewhere, and came back with an even bigger bag, almost as big as me. From a distance, he called out to me, "Jiang Qian, look, this bag is big, you can collect more with it." Because of that incident, I seemed to be less afraid of Yanjing, to everyone's surprise. I was able to talk so much with Yanjing. They thought I was brave. They never had a good face when they encountered Yanjing. Yanjing's grades were excellent, the best in all subjects in the grade, while I was very poor in math. Every time he explained problems to me, I barely understood. After he repeated explanations several times, he asked, "Got it, me, this seems." Yanjing, propping his chin and speaking in a nonchalant tone, "Jiang Qian, if you had any conscience, you'd pretend to understand by now." I felt hurt and silently pulled over my own papers. "Then I'll ask the class representative." Thinking I was joking, Yanjing leaned back casually. "The coward is so bold now." "Fine, go ask. I'll what you ask. It was just a question. I was just socially anxious." He underestimated me, so I really took my papers and went to ask someone else. Yanjing had a scowl on his face that was almost terrifying as he stared intently in the direction of me and the class representative. Fine, you ungrateful little thing." A chill ran down the spine of the class representative who was explaining the problem to me. After that, whenever I encountered a problem, I went to ask the class representative. And each time, Yanjing's expression grew even sourer. Finally, when I approached the class representative for the 5th time with my questions, passing by Yanjing's seat, he suddenly grabbed hold of my clothes. "What are you doing?" I asked. Yanjing turned his head away, his tone awkward. "Don't ask him, ask me instead. Please, I'm begging you." I don't know when it started, but Yanjing liked to call me a coward, and indeed, I was one. Because of my feelings, I became even more cautious, silently guarding my secret, too afraid to share it with anyone. High school was so short, just 3 years. I cherished every moment spent with him, but I knew on the day of our high school graduation that the story between us was likely over. He would go to the best university, and despite giving it my all, I still fell short by a long way. We might end up in different cities, starting new stories, to avoid falling too deeply. I was the first to cut off all contact with him, so, years later, I couldn't refute a single word of Yanjing's. What he said was true, and I didn't know how to explain my cowardice to him. After all, I was the one who ran away without any reason. My thoughts snapped back to the present, seeing that I hadn't spoken. He, usually so cool and composed, scratched the back of his head in frustration, yet his voice was still gentle when he spoke. "Jiangqian, about that video you posted." I looked up at him and immediately apologized. "I'm sorry. I didn't know that was you." Yanjing laughed bitterly, and I could hear the gritting of his teeth. "What? So if it wasn't me, it would have been okay to post?" I didn't know how to respond to that, because it seemed like my heart had always been drawn to him. Yanjing spoke again, about that video posted by an employee of Yin Corporation. When he mentioned the video that went viral, I looked up at him, assuring him knowingly, "Mr. Yen, rest assured, I won't misunderstand." Yanjing was so upset he could barely stand, grinding his molars. "Jiangqian, you can misunderstand. Misunderstand? What does that mean?" Was what Wenwen said true, that Yanjing also had a hidden affection for me, but with such a gap between us, how could I presume to get close to him? I was stunned for a moment, then looked up at him and asked, "That private account that mentioned you in my comments section?" "It's my secondary account," seeing that I was straining my neck looking up. Yanjing crouched down, hands on his knees, looking me straight in the eye. "I have nothing to hide. It's just me tagging myself, trying to reconnect with you, in front of you. I have no pride to maintain." As Yanjing paused, looking at me as if to confirm that I could accept what he was saying, seeing no unusual expression on my face, he continued, "Jiangqian, we're both in our 20s now. We might have missed our chance when we were teenagers, but I'm afraid if we miss it again in our 20s because of pride, you might really end up marrying someone else." My heart trembled at that moment. There were so many rumors about Yanjing, but it seemed he only ever lowered his head in front of me. They never hid my origins from me because they believed I had the right to know. Being precocious, I was always well behaved from a young age. My current parents, who hesitate to spend an extra penny on me, would often say with empathy, "Qian, the world isn't as bad as you think, don't live so cautiously." But I was like a withered tree that could never sprout leaves, grateful for everything yet only daring to root deeply into the ground, living a rigid and dull life. I feared the unknown consequences of even a single step forward. I lowered my head, not daring to look at Yanjing. "But I'm so ordinary." Yanjing hesitated for a moment, then carefully took hold of my wrist with his large hand. "Jiangqian, in my eyes, you have never been ordinary, otherwise why would I have thought about you for so many years?" Yanjing was too close, his dark eyes filled with emotions I couldn't understand. So unlike him, his gaze burned me for a moment. He watched me patiently, just as he did in high school when explaining problems I couldn't solve. "Be my assistant. If you don't know something, I'll teach you slowly. It won't be very hard, and if you're willing, let's give it a try." Seeing that I didn't respond, he tightened his grip on my wrist slightly and called my name. "Jiangqian, it's okay if you don't want to. I won't force you." But the bright expectation in Yanjing's dark eyes was undeniable. I looked up and met his gaze. The affection of our teenage years was something that couldn't be sought after easily. If it were so simple to give up, why would people always find themselves trapped by it? Some decisions seem to be made in an instant. God, I also want to give it a try. Maybe one day in the future, I really will be worthy of this unspoken affection. After coming to terms with my feelings, I suddenly felt much lighter, and Yanjing didn't rush me, just waiting patiently. His breath enveloped me instantly, surprisingly pleasant, exactly the same scent I remembered from high school. The warm masculine scent made my cheeks flush. His eyes deepened a bit, as if he too was waiting for me to say something. After hesitating, I finally ventured, "Could you give me the link to your body wash? It smells really good." Yanjing was visibly startled, a certain emotion finally relaxing in his eyes as he straightened up and chuckled. "Jiangqian, you haven't changed at all." His laughter was brief and hearty, making my heart flutter. Yanjing raised his hand to cover my eyes, his voice low and husky. "Don't look at me like that." I tilted my head back, asking through his hand, "Why?" though my eyes were covered by Yanjing's hand. I could feel his gaze fixed on me. I heard Yanjing's low voice, "Because I can't stand it." Just as I was about to ask why, Yanjing's expression darkened slightly. He uncomfortably shifted his gaze away and let go of me. He turned my head in another direction, his handsome hand opening the door for me. "All right, I won't pressure you anymore. Let Assistant Chin take you to find Wen." I stood at the door, hesitant to step forward. I had mustered up the courage to ask for the body wash link that I had wanted since high school. I reminded him in a soft voice, "Yin classmate, you haven't given me the link yet." Yanjing burst out laughing. "I'll buy it for you." I couldn't help but smile, grasping the doorknob as Yanjing sat back down, his eyes seeming a bit melancholic. I looked back at him, and as he felt my gaze and looked up, our eyes met, and my heart trembled. Perhaps even he didn't realize the hope in his eyes. Like a little puppy eagerly watching me, I didn't respond to his question earlier, as he was curious about my answer but didn't dare to ask further since I had changed the subject. I softly called his name, "Yanjing, what's wrong? Do you think it's worth considering?" "The role of executive assistant is completely new to me. Looks like you'll have to teach me." A spark lit up in Yanjing's eyes. Just as I was about to leave, he stopped me. "Jiang Qian, with a restrained smile, Yanjing said, "You know, I'm good at teaching, just don't avoid me like you would a plague." After becoming Yanjing's assistant, he set up a small partition for me in his office. When I pushed the door open and saw it, I was quite surprised. Yanjing's office was usually in shades of gray, but he had made my partition very cozy, which was completely at odds with the rest of his office. Leaning on his hand, Yanjing's gaze casually swept over to me, capturing the expression on my face. He said lazily, "It's not that I necessarily want to share a room with you, but given your introverted nature, you wouldn't be comfortable working with the others. As the boss, I have to think of everything." Assistant Chin would exclaim every time he walked in, claiming that Yanjing actually had obsessive-compulsive disorder. If an employee wore flashy clothes, it would greatly annoy him. That he could tolerate such a girlishly decorated partition in his office was unbelievable to him. It was as if heaven had blessed him. He couldn't believe it. Thus, Assistant Chin became increasingly respectful towards me, treating me almost reverently, even though he was my senior. And Yanjing was indeed teaching me earnestly. He taught me not only what an executive assistant needs to know, but I also learned much more from him. Standing in front of a room full of people, I found I could be less nervous, even capable of delivering work reports perfectly. Whenever I made even a little progress, he seemed as proud as an old father, as if our relationship had returned to the familiar days of high school. Yin Corporation had a large staff cafeteria that provided breakfast and lunch. I really liked the cafeteria, and coincidentally, every meal was exactly to my taste. I heard from Assistant Chin that Yanjing never used to eat in the staff cafeteria. First, his icy demeanor could frighten the employees, making them uncomfortable while eating. Secondly, Yanjing was picky with food and usually had meals specially prepared by a personal chef. But now, Yanjing and I had become a famous sight in the company's cafeteria. Yanjing seemed to enjoy watching me eat. His mood was always pleasant during our meals together, and with every bite I took, his smile grew wider, unable to be contained. Lately, more employees had started coming to the cafeteria. While eating, they would stretch their necks to look over at our table. Every action from Yanjing prompted them to exchange glances, exclaim, and then whisper among themselves. They found it novel to see such a side of President Yen. Gradually, I went from feeling uncomfortable to being able to face everyone's gaze calmly. I yawned and sat down. Naturally, Yanjing opened a cup of hot red bean drink and handed it to me, speaking in a moderate tone. "Are your hands cold? Have a sip of this to warm them up." "Thank you, Yanjing." As soon as my fingers touched the cup, warmth spread throughout my body. Yen Corporation employees, see, I told you. President Yen knows how to take care of people. As I held the cup firmly, Yanjing started peeling a boiled egg, frowning as he muttered, "I really don't know why you like eggs so much, but the housekeeper says they're nutritious, good for growing." My face turned red. I was already in my 20s, and he still thought I could grow taller. "Don't talk nonsense." Yanjing's lips curved into a smile. "Here, I won't keep nagging. Finish your egg, and I'll peel another one for you." I took the egg. Dumbfounded, Yanjing had peeled it cleanly. My gaze fell on him as he earnestly began peeling another egg. I knew how much he detested the smell of eggs, yet there he was, diligently peeling them for me. Every time I took a bite, he handed me a napkin the moment my hand moved. Each time I gestured, he would stand up, his eyes brightening. "Do you want more? I'll get it for you. You're eating so well today. Your appetite has improved." Yen Corporation's employee commented, "Did you see that, mister?" Yin is actually handling eggs. He has really grown. I sighed. Our Yin Corporation is getting better day by day. Miss Jiang is truly a blessing for our group. The food has improved, and Mr. Yin has become more humane. It's been a long time since he last snapped at me at work. From the day I arrived, there has been a pot of sensitive plant on Yin Jing's desk, which he nurtures very carefully, Assistant Qin said. This is Mr. Yan's treasure. No one is allowed to touch it. Yan Jing didn't seem like someone who would nurture plants, but he took great care of this sensitive plant. Out of curiosity, one day I finally asked him when he started having an interest in nurturing sensitive plants. Yan Jing put down the documents in his hand and looked at the plant with me. When did I start? Back in high school. I was stunned. He started nurturing sensitive plants in high school. I was so close to him yet never knew he had this hobby. Yan Jing held my index finger and gently touched the plant's leaves. His hands were cool, sending a ticklish sensation through my hand as he touched it. The leaves of the sensitive plant shrank. Yan Jing was very careful, and his voice was soft. Look, doesn't this plant remind you of yourself? Timid and shy. I was just about to argue how it didn't resemble me at all when, upon closer inspection, I astonishingly found it somewhat true. Yan Jing's gaze moved from the plant to my face, and he softly called my name, Jiang Qian. Although the sensitive plant doesn't bloom as boldly and brightly as other flowers, it has a very unique presence. There are so many people in this world who like sensitive plants, and I am just one of them. Our eyes met, and I felt a warmth from Yan Jing's gaze. His voice was low as he said, "You don't realize how adorable you look when you're shy." My heart was pounding rapidly, again and again. For some reason, at that moment, I felt like even a dead tree could find its spring, and Yan Jing, with his normally mischievous expression, looked unexpectedly tender. The collaboration between Wen and Yin Corporation on advertising and products was drawing to a close. On the last day at Yin Corporation, Yan Jing unusually asked me to work overtime. We worked until only the two of us were left in the company. Yan Jing was still sitting at his desk, focused on the documents in his hand. However, he hadn't turned a page for several hours. Seeing that it was getting dark outside, I called out to him, "Yan Jing." He paused in his actions and looked at me. "Ready to go home? I'll drive you." As he picked up his car keys and stood up, I looked at the items on the desk that I wanted to take with me, so I said, "Wait for me outside for a bit. I need to pack some things." Yan Jing nodded and headed out. "Okay, take your time. I'll wait for you." At that moment, his tall figure seemed a bit forlorn. After packing up everything, I walked out of the office with the items in my arms. In the hallway, Yan Jing leaned against the wall, a cigarette pinched between his fingers, its tiny red ember glowing noticeably in the dark. Seeing me, he instinctively stubbed out the cigarette and apologized. "Sorry, I couldn't help but smoke one." I quickly shook my head. "It's okay, I don't mind. Leave the stuff on the floor. I'll pick it up later." I obediently set it down. Okay. During my time at Yan's, Yan Jing had never smoked in front of me. There wasn't even a hint of smoke in his office, so I had no idea he smoked. Yan Jing's eyes dimmed for a moment, and after the smell of smoke had dissipated, he approached me and casually picked up the items I had packed. We walked towards the elevator in silence. The short distance felt unusually quiet. Suddenly, Yan Jing stopped and looked at me. "Jiang Qian, do you think Yan should collaborate more with Miss Wen? She seems quite influential." Yan Jing looked at me with hopeful eyes, as if he was the inscrutable Mr. Yan of business, whom nobody would dare to question. Hearing this awkward reasoning, I also stopped and said, "Yan Jing, actually The words reached my lips but I couldn't speak them out loud. We stood there face to face, neither of us willing to walk away, both stubborn to the core. Yan Jing, towering at 189 meters, hesitated in front of me, and suddenly a face appeared in the darkness between us. Wen clicked her tongue several times, unable to hold back any longer. "What's the matter? You just learned how to talk. If you have something to say, say it quickly. I dare you to break my favorite ship. It's hilarious. I end up being the most anxious." Wen's sudden appearance gave me a big scare, and she hadn't even left. But her presence seemed to give me great courage. I looked at Yan Jing. Nervously began, "Yan Jing, I've had a crush on you since high school, loved you for many years. I lost contact after high school because I felt too inferior, believing that the girl worthy of being with you had to be exceptionally outstanding. Halfway through, I paused to study my emotions, but now I want to try, to see if I can take a small step to catch up to you, to reach a place where I might be worthy of you, if you are willing." I don't know why, but as I spoke, I felt like crying. Mid-sentence, I was pulled into his broad chest. In the moment he embraced me, moisture fell onto the back of my hand, a burning sensation in my heart. It wasn't mine, it was Yan Jing's. "Jiang Qian, after high school, when you deleted my contact, I thought of 10,000 reasons why you might be mad at me. I am usually confident in everything, but I couldn't figure out why you were ignoring me. I could only think over and over about how to apologize to you, how to solve this issue so you wouldn't be mad at me anymore, and then maybe we could start over. My heart ached. I hadn't expected him to see it that way. I'm sorry. Yanjing bent down, his face buried in my neck, his hot breath spreading through my body, his voice muffled. Jiang Qian, luckily you posted that video, otherwise how would I dare to approach you? I took the right bet. In the dark hallway, Yanjing and I embraced each other. Wenwen wiped her tears on the side. I always said you two are meant to be together, such a handsome couple. In the naive years of my teens, I believed that liking someone was sacred. I thought I needed someone who could seriously say I like you, but during those vulnerable and fresh moments, I fell in love with someone I thought I could never be with. Yet, the person I never thought I'd have a chance with ended up being with me. Chapter 20. The word like seems simple to write, just a few strokes, a few lines, yet countless people in the world seem to start their stories with a crush. They harbor glances that are not too overt, and write letters that they dare not send. Even a fleeting glance can consume years of their lives as they steadfastly sketch out their love. Some love openly and without reservation, others meet amid the noisy cicadas. But no matter how the story starts, believe that at its end, even the barren mud will bloom with flowers. So, my friends, do not panic. It's just a fluttering heart. Be bold, for you have never ceased to strive. You, who stood tall in your teens, deserve all the sincere and shimmering love. End of main text. Bonus. Wenwen's perspective. Wenwen, finally playing a leading role, is tormented by a newly arrived actress with a strong backing, aging her prematurely. This woman, a tough character with powerful connections, started playing the innocent victim from day one. Wenwen didn't provoke her, so why the hostility? Finally, during yet another display of her split personality, Wenwen flipped the table, the crew gathered around as the woman, panic-stricken, apologized, blaming her inexperienced assistant. Wenwen, seeing stars in anger, flipped a chair, accusing the woman of trying to shift the blame. Tears welled up in the woman's eyes as she asked how Wenwen could insult her to her face. Wenwen, almost laughing in fury, threatened to make her grievances more permanent. The director intervened. Unable to offend either party due to their connections, furious and unwilling to swallow her pride, Wenwen decided to seek support from her friend, Yanjing, only to find her in a minor squabble with Jiang Qian. Jiang Qian, I hate you, Yanjing. I was just tidying up. You can't hate me, Jiang Qian hummed. I'm ignoring you now. Yanjing chuckled, ignoring me again. All right, come here, let me kiss you. Wenwen wanted to die. As the sickly sweetness around her was more unbearable than the torment on set, she left in anger, not even eating dinner, her complaint unmade. At 9 in the evening, sitting on her balcony, she sighed heavily. Her phone chimed, a message from her ex-husband. Heard someone got bullied on set today. Wenwen scoffed and texted back dismissively. Oh, what's it to you? Her ex replied, noting her bully's strong backing. Wenwen, with a cold laugh, typed, not as strong as you, Mr. Xia Xiao. The phone rang immediately. Wenwen answered to hear Xia Yan's lazy, teasing voice. So you got bullied, heh? Wenwen snorted. What, you called just to mock me? It seemed windy on the other line as Xia Yan chuckled softly. Come downstairs. I won't. Her phone alerted her to a transaction of 200,000 yuan. Now, will you come down? Wenwen put on her shoes. Fine, you're rich. You have 10 minutes. Dressed in her pajamas, Wenwen descended. Her eyes landing on the tall figure leaning against a black sports car, a cigarette loosely held in his mouth. As she approached, Xia Yan handed her a small pink box, a little cake. Wenwen took it. Xia Yan, what are you playing at? Xia Yan snuffed out his cigarette, responding indifferently. If you don't want it, just throw it away. As he spoke, he opened the car door with one hand and got in. Before driving away, Xia Yan rolled down the window and said, by the way, I've invested in that play of yours, and I'll join the crew tomorrow. Wenwen almost couldn't keep her composure. That woman was enough for her to deal with, and now her ex-husband would join in too. It was like her fate was sealed. Xia Yan glanced at Wenwen and his lips curled into a smile. What? Did you think I was joining the crew to make things worse for you? Wenwen replied, what else? Leaning back in his seat, Xia Yan's voice was soft. I'm going there to take your side. Wenwen frowned even more, puzzled by his intentions. She blurted out without thinking, Xia Yan, have you taken the wrong medicine? Xia Yan didn't look at Wenwen again and started the car. No mistake, compared to your ambiguous friends. I'm not lacking at all, as he was about to drive off. Wenwen called out again, Xia Yan, don't play games with me like this. Xia Yan responded nonchalantly, what's there to be afraid of? I just can't let you go. Remember to eat the cake. We'll see each other tomorrow. Don't avoid me, you know, I'm the evil capitalist.